The evidence seems to indicate that you're watching dolly vision.
Chopping up dolly vision, screaming real. True crime scene blast feels so unreal. YouTube madness like share, subscribe. Chat's on fire, burning the world's fire. Where's the baby missing shadows crawl? People whisper footsteps down the hall. Fingerprints of the dead, cold as stone. He's got the scoop, best around town known. Dolly vision headlines, king of peace. Truth unravels, crackling through the heat. Lost soul shouting, echoes in the night. Rock the truth while live on air light. Chopping up dolly vision, screaming real. True crime scene blast feels so unreal. YouTube madness like share, subscribe. Chat's on fire, burning the world's fire. Where's the baby missing shadows crawl? People whisper footsteps down the hall. Fingerprints of the dead, cold as stone. He's got the scoop, best around town known. Dolly vision headlines, king of peace. Truth unravels, crackling through the heat. Lost souls shouting, echoes in the night. Rock the truth while live on air light.
What is up, YouTube? Dolly back in the house. Oh my God, what a tragedy that is taking place there in Texas. It's just unbelievable the amount of lives that were taken from Mother Nature. Okay, and we're going to be talking about them Texas flash floods tonight. We're also going to be talking about Jack and Lilly Sullivan. So we're trying to mix it up with a little bit of, world events and a little bit of true crime, because this is a true crime channel. But we have been throwing in some of the latest news that is going down in the world. But before we get into that, I want you guys to leave your DNA on the like button, just in case you go missing in the hills of Tennessee, the deep woods of Nova Scotia, or in a flood somewhere in Central Texas. Dolly's going to come track you down like a bloodhound. But I'm going to need your DNA on file. Right now, there's 282 of you. Quiet night, but sometimes I like a good quiet night. I'm able to keep up with the chat room a little bit better. So if you're brand new out there, make sure you sub up, ring the bell for notifications. We're like 300 people, 340 people, I think, from reaching 71,000 subscribers. So we can't do it without the help of each and every one of you. So make sure you sub up, ring the bell for notifications, and feel free, of course, to share my ugly face absolutely everywhere. Now, since we're going to be talking true crime tonight, let me give my warnings. Dolly Vision's for entertainment purposes only. We talk news, rumors, gossip, speculations, theories, mixed with a little bit of comedy and chaos. So don't take nothing here as fact. It's just my opinion, people. The callers' opinions are theirs and theirs alone, not to reflect on the Dolly. Everyone's innocent to proven guilty in a court of law. And the biggest one of them all, don't try to be Dolly at home. It is dangerous, and I am not responsible. So, as you know, I didn't come live yesterday. Sunday is officially my day off from YouTube. So, moving forward, I actually got some rest. I feel a lot better today. So, Sundays are going to be my day off. So, no Dolly Vision on Sundays unless y'all are just watching the replay. So, I'm taking Sundays off from here until I don't feel like doing it anymore. Okay. So Sundays, no dolly vision. So, but I am back tonight. Okay. I am back tonight. And like I said, the worst fears that could happen in this, we knew there was 27 young girls missing from the Mystic campground there in Central Texas. And all of them but 10 have been found, and they have been found deceased. Okay. So it appears that this is turned to a recovery mission, and the death toll stands right now at 104 people. All right. Just the other day we were talking about it, and it was what, 54, 64. And every time we turn on the news, the death toll just climbs in Central Texas. Really sad situation. Some of the things we've seen were completely unbelievable. I've never seen water in my life rise so fast. It seemed like, it only rained a little less than a foot, but the rivers rose 30 foot. Wow. Moto Mom's been a member for 25 months. Thank you so much. Thanks for the wrench, Dolly. You are very much welcome, Moto Mom. With great powers come great responsibility with those wrenches. Remember that, okay? Don't just be nice to everybody. Treat everybody as family, and only get rid of the worst of the worst. When, timeouts don't work, then you block their ass, okay, Moto Mom? But, give them 2 timeouts first. And if they can't be good people by then, kick them right in the ass crack. Okay, right dead in the ass crack. Now, there's been people, celebrities coming forward, doing good things, donating millions of dollars like Jelly Roll. Now, it was good to see, heartfelt, just trying to help, and, the community helping community in this situation, and all the searchers who've given up their time to search these riverbeds and all this debris that is left behind from this flash flood are angels. Thank you guys so much. It is hard to do what these people are doing, because you got to remember they're finding bodies of small children. And this is something, guys, Jelly Roll does help so many people. I agree. Great guy, great music. And this, should be an inspiration to other celebrities to, you got all these millions of dollars, right? You can't spend all that money. You can't. You just really, you have so much money, you can't even spend it all. So why not help the people? There's some people so rich in this planet, they could give everybody $1 million and end homelessness. But they don't, right? They'll walk right past you and spit on you. So thank God for people like Jelly Roll. I heard he gave up $50 million to the people in Texas, which is like, wow, right? Wow. And I guess you lead by example, and hopefully other celebrities will see this and do their part to help the people in Texas, especially these families that have lost so many kids. There's still 10 kids missing, okay, from this Mystic campground. And most likely, sad news is they're probably not with us anymore. So it looks like all of those kids that went missing, were swept away by the water, didn't make it. Mother Nature, we have to take Mother Nature very seriously, not just flash floods. I really, I've heard so many people say that this is a wake-up call for a lot of people. When I would get those alerts on my phone about flash floods, I honestly never paid them too much attention. I've never really been worried about flooding, because flooding seems like something that comes on slow, right? It ain't like a tornado form in your front yard, take your house down. You would think that until you seen what happened in Texas. Some people say within 15 to 30 minutes, the waters rose over 30 feet. Places that didn't even have water were engulfed in water, deep, deep water. Houses washing down the street, mobile home parks wiped completely out in a matter of an hour. These campers never seen this coming. You know, the alerts went out at like 1:30 in the morning. Most of these kids were in bed. Time they woke up and realized what was going on, they were in severe, severe danger. And it's a tragedy that we lost 27 kids, but it could have been a lot more. There was 800 kids at that camp. Imagine if all, you know, I don't even want to imagine, but just know that it could have been a lot worse than it was. And prayer and just thank God that it wasn't any worse than it was. Now, is it a horrible tragedy? Absolutely. There's no, you know, winding that back. We can't change what has already happened, but we can feel blessed that it wasn't worse. And in situations like this, it could always be worse. It could always be worse. So they're still trying to recover victims from this right now. And far as finding anybody alive, you know, every minute that passes, the chances of that get lower and lower. So we're going to jump into some of the most recent news of it. And let me share this video with you. No sound. Hold on, guys. Let me fix that. Y'all should have sound now. Give me a thumbs up if you got sound.
Updates on the tragedy out in Texas.
Give me a
Now we are
thumbs up.
learning from that flooding disaster that the total number of victims has now risen once again to 104 people here. We do want to go out to Fox 26 out in Houston, giving the latest updates on this tragedy. Let's listen in.
We want to get you up to date on the very latest information that is unfolding with this epic disaster. The death toll from the weekend flooding.
Jelly Roll and Brandon Lake's song Hard Fought Hallelujah has been my anthem since I lost my husband to a car accident 3 weeks ago. Powerful song.
Yes. And what good people to do what they done for the victims of this flash flood. So right now the death toll is 104. At least 10 still missing. Most deaths were in Kerr County. 850 people rescued.
In Central Texas has risen to 104 people now. Fatalities reported across 6 counties. Most of the deaths happening in Kerr County. At least 10 girls from camp.
Was it 3.5 million? Okay, I heard a lot more, but you know how the internet is. So, but 3.5 million is still a ton of money. Okay.
Mystic, they are still missing at this hour. Officials say crews were able to rescue more than 850 people over the holiday weekend. This morning, a press conference took place in Kerrville, which has been considered ground zero for the emergency. That included city leaders, first responders, along with other officials. Senator Ted Cruz was there as well.
So, of course, we hear from the officials, but as you know, and as we've been reporting since Friday, it's the personal stories. It's the people who are down there, the volunteers, the families searching for loved ones. It's those stories that we continue to bring you as well.
It is. And as we enter day 4, we're on day 4 of the disaster, and you have parents who are going to go to bed again tonight, not even knowing the whereabouts of their child. And we've all been talking about this, just as every one of you have, watching us in the newsroom, in your circle of friends, at your place of employment, and everyone trying to put themselves in other people's shoes. And it's really just unimaginable for any parent to even think about what these folks are going through.
We have so many crews who are there in the area in Kerr County. Alex Boyer, arrived today in Kerrville. Alex, I'm interested in talking with you because you've been covering the story over the weekend. I think it's one thing to cover it from where we're sitting, but it's another to be where everything is happening. So tell us what you've seen, what you've heard.
Yeah, you're right. And it's pretty incredible. We actually just got here to Kerrville, I would say within the past hour or so, and set up here along a park that has been cordoned off.
Okay, guys, we got 253 likes. Let's see if we can get those likes up. We got 576 people in the room. So if you're here with us live, make sure you take a second and hit that like button for me. It helps get the video in the algorithm, helps bring in more people. So please do me a favor, hit that like button for your boy Dolly. Okay, I need your help, people.
In the distance there, you can see why. It's because that is where the banks of the Guadalupe River are. And you can see the water levels at this point. They've receded a lot. And you may be able to see, though, those tall trees that have just toppled over, ripped out of their roots and really dragged onto their side. Who knows how far downstream as a result of those floodwaters that just really tore through this area over the Independence Day weekend. And, to your point, Heather and Casey, all talking about really the human aspect of this all. Right. As I mentioned, we did just get here a short time ago, but I can tell you in that time being set up here, we've had a couple of people who have really pulled over and walked up to this fence here again, as close as they can get to see some of that devastation. Many of them grew up here in this area, and they tell me that this is a strong community, that this is a community that is really built around the leisure area here, with lots of people attending these recreation areas and these camps. So they really love seeing all of the children and all of the camp counselors who come here every summer to take part in what they consider to be such a vibrant and important community. And I talked to one mother, her name was Tiffany, and she showed up here with her 16-year-old daughter. And she tells me that as a mother, she is just devastated over what she heard and saw. They happen to be out of town at a vacation home in Corpus Christi when they saw all of this posting on social media. And she said she just wanted to get down here and help, but knew that there was nothing that she could do. But again, as a mother, it really just devastated her to see all of the stories.
That's how fast that water moved in. Did you see it? It was completely dry there on the riverbed. And then all of a sudden, we watched this live the other night, and within a matter of 5 minutes, the water had rose all the way to the top of the bridge.
Being posted online, and hearing all of those tragic stories with parents, as Casey mentioned, who are going to go to bed tonight not knowing where their loved one is, if their loved one is still alive. They tell me that they're really trying to volunteer their time. That's where they were out today, looking for areas where they could volunteer their time. They say that they haven't been able to do so because there has been so many people in this community who have been.
It went from no water to that high in 10 minutes. We watched it live the night before last, and it rose all the way up to the top of that bridge within 10 minutes.
Wanting to do the exact same thing. So they know for right now, all they can do is take a pause, take a step back, and really just be available for when they're called and when they are needed.
That's the house hitting the bridge.
That press conference today, I can tell you, it really struck me that U.S. Senator Ted Cruz actually got a little emotional today when he was talking with reporters, because of the fact that he revealed that just last week he was here in Kerrville picking up his own daughter from one of the many camps that line the Guadalupe River here, and he knows it could have easily been the same for him as it is for many of these parents today. I can tell you that Texans on a mission from North Texas, they're currently on their way down here in an effort to begin searching and rescuing folks in this area. They tell me, their spokesperson, that they really hope to have that operation ramped up on Thursday. They do have some preachers that are here, some pastors who are able to provide counsel to many of the folks in need.
Hey, Alex, question for you. You talked about your trek into the area and how you just got there. We're seeing a lot of reports of roads closed, bridges out, also traffic just in general. Can you kind of describe what you encountered? Are there a lot of closed roads? What was it like trying to get to where you are?
Yeah, there are, Casey. You know, when we were coming down this way, we had to take a lot of back roads and get off the highway when we got around in and around the Austin area in order to avoid a lot of those closures. And I can tell you what really struck me, we were still about 2 hours out, if my memory serves me right. I believe we were in the Marble Falls area. And all of a sudden, we saw homes that were completely fine. Then we saw some cones and some barricades. And then we saw trees and devastation and cars moved. And I even saw what looked like a hospital bed on wheels that had been thrown across the roadway there. I don't know if it belonged to someone who was involved in home care or from a nearby urgent care facility, but it was clear there even that some of the rising floodwaters had just gone diagonally across that part of Marble Falls, making it impossible at one point. We were able to get through there, but there were some detours we had to encounter in order to get around that area. But that is what is pretty remarkable about Mother Nature, and also just seeing that today there's blue skies out, everything looks perfect, and then you come across devastation like that and you realize, wow, this just happened in this area, and so many people are impacted even as far away from what is considered ground zero in Marble Falls.
All right. Well, Fox 4's Alex Boyer and photojournalist Mark Gustafson, who's working with you. We appreciate the job you're doing. It is not an easy one. Thank you so much for being there on the ground with us tonight, Alex.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that's really hard to wrap your brain around. Number one is the flash flooding. I mean, Dan Henry,
Yes, how fast them floods moved in is like, it's just unbelievable is what it is. Now, real quick, I want you guys to do me a favor. There's 700 of you in the room. I want you to hit the like button. Don't cheat. I'm talking to you. I'm looking right at you. Look. Yep, you. Hit the like button. And then I want you to shout out where you beautiful people are watching from, okay? But make sure you hit the like on the video. Let's see if we can get it up to at least 650. And you guys shout out where you're watching from. I want to see you beautiful people. Where you at? Where you at? I see Pennsylvania's in the house, Oregon's in the house, Kentucky, Louisiana, Ireland, Denver, Colorado, Alberta, Canada, Knoxville, Tennessee, Oklahoma City, Missouri. We got some Texas in the house. Definitely be safe down there in Texas. STL, the Old East, Arizona, Mississippi. Not Texas. I'm near something. That moved so fast. Michigan, Florida, Chicago, Texas, NorCal, Alabama, West Virginia, Indiana, Alberta, Rhode Island, Vermont. Good to see all you guys. Good to see each and every one of you coming in tonight. New York State, handsome Dolly. Thank you. Denmark, we'll get you some glasses. New Mexico's in the house with us tonight. Good to see you. Midlothian, Virginia. Okay, I know where that's at. You right up the street. Alabama, Arizona, New Hampshire, Roll Tide, Alabama in the house. Bama, Atlanta. Good old Georgia, my hometown. Michigan. Denver, Colorado. Iowa's with us tonight. George and Houston. Got to have George with us, old crazy George. Texas. Middle Tennessee, Arizona, Ontario, and we are going to be talking about Jack and Lilly a little bit tonight. Once we get through some of this storm stuff, some of the latest coverage on this, we will get to the story of Jack and Lilly missing out of Nova Scotia. Been 2 months, no answers for them little kids. Minnesota, Bama, Baltimore, Maryland's with us. Good to have you all. Good to have you all. Michigan. Wait. I'm waiting for Ohio. Love when Dolly says OH. Okay. Gotta have my Ohioan people. Ohio. Is that even a word? All my people from Ohio, Texas, Canada, all our brothers and sisters in Canada now, because we've been going over this story a lot, covering the Jack and Lilly stuff. But there's still at least 10 kids missing out there. Everybody from the Mystic campground hasn't been found. You know, that campground sits right there, the Guadalupe, right? The Guadalupe, however you say the name of this river, and this total devastation. Some of the stories from some of the campers are coming out. Some of the young men that were in one of the cabins said that the cabins filled up. They were on top of the second bunk on the bunk beds and the water had came up that far, they actually had to swim out into the storm to get to safety to higher ground. Can you imagine as a kid how scary that must be? And, a lot of kids can't swim. And we're looking at where the kids that are missing, a lot of those kids that were missing were from 6 to 10 years old. At 6 and 10, you may be able to swim a little bit, but not good enough to survive that storm. All right, we got a call coming in. Dolly.
Hello, it's me, Alex.
What's up, Alex? What's going on?
I'm doing very good. Guess who's a YouTuber now?
Who's a YouTuber, Alex?
Me.
Are you taking over? You gonna blow up big time?
I created a YouTube video on my iPhone 12, and I also got a new email because I had to create a new email, and the name of my YouTube channel is Legend of Online Gamer.
Legend of Online Gamer. I started my YouTube channel, Alex, with an iPhone 5. Now we're up into millions and millions of views. Almost 71,000 subscribers. And I started it in my bedroom on an iPhone 5.
That's cool.
Yeah, now I got a whole big studio, YouTube every day. So it can happen. If the people allow it, if they want to hear what you got to say, it'll do good. And I wish you luck, Alex.
Thank you. And I got 7 videos so far. So I can be on Turtle Island.
So you can be on Turtle Island? You trying to get on the Turtle Island?
I want to be on Turtle Island because I want to win my own championship belt, and I want to win against Illuminati.
You want to go?
Okay. I want to go against Illuminati.
Okay. Well, we're a little delayed on starting Turtle Island because I've been handling some of my tax stuff. So I
want to vote myself
really busy.
On the island. Okay.
Okay. So I've been doing.
I just wanted to call you and let you know because I wanted you to give me some advice, like about YouTube, what stuff not to do on YouTube, and what stuff you can do on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah. Well, when I get some free time, I'll break it down for you, Alex.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You be good.
I appreciate it. I will. Right. You be good too.
All right. Peace.
Bye. Peace.
Yeah. For anybody that didn't know, I started this channel years ago on an iPhone 5. I didn't even know the phone lines were open. Dolly.
Jimmy's son, Kubrick Cat.
What's up, Johnny?
Just getting back from Central Texas.
Oh, okay.
Dropped some supplies, and I had some family that were directly hit in Georgetown too, because it's all downstream from the Guadalupe. So that river is known for that. Everybody that knows anything about living in Texas, truly, you don't want to be by the water, because when it rains here, it's a godlike event. And this doesn't happen ever. This is literally a 100-year type storm. However, in '87, they had a bus close to Mystic Camp full of kids washed down the Guadalupe, and they had to rescue them too from airships, helicopters.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is that, this is a 100-year storm, and to see it up close, the television pictures can do it.
Well,
no justice.
If it happened in '87, that ain't 100 years. You know what I'm saying? That's just.
Well, yeah, but they're not going by the last of it. They're saying this is an event that won't happen again for 100 years. However, I disagree with that.
I do too.
This is Texas, and you remember on the other side of Kerrville, it's desert.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why does that mean something? Well, because when you get to Kerrville, you start getting into what they call the hill country. So we don't have mountains here until you get way out by El Paso, real close to New Mexico. Then you start seeing mountain ranges all the way up into, Arizona, going northwest into Las Vegas, all of that. That's where you get your mountains, 11 Western, not down here in Texas so much. So you have the desert right out after El Paso for hundreds of miles. That's why nobody lives there, right? So when those storms come in, nothing stops it. It's flat. And then it gets to Kerrville and those little towns all along the river, not unlike we saw what happened up in the Carolinas with that hurricane. That was a hurricane that hit down here where I live in the Gulf of America. Was the other one before, but I got to call it right because that's the signs have changed down here. So it's
I mean,
Gulf of Mexico anyway.
It seems like the storms are getting worse, Johnny. Like just globally, like.
I mean, you could make an argument for that, brother, but I could tell you that weather systems are cyclic. Now, if we were to get into not necessarily conspiratorial, in fact, I could give proof, but we won't do that on your show tonight. I wouldn't do that to you. I don't have that permission or that time from you, but you probably know what I'm going to say next. Yes, we do have weapons that can change the weather. It's true. It's been around for a long time. Did that happen in this case? Absolutely not.
No, this was a foot of rain. This wasn't nothing crazy.
This was an act of God. Yeah. That's what the insurance companies call it. Why did they use that term? Well, not directly that God says, hey, I'm going to get Kerrville. No. It's such the event is so catastrophic, you have to put it at that level. That's why they term it that way. And this is going to take many, many months and in many areas, years to recover because this one truly is. But I get what you're saying when I said, well, that's truly not 100 years. That was only 1987. But they're saying in 100 years time span. They're not including 87. That was bad, but this one kicks that one off the planet.
Yeah.
But from what I saw, more than devastating. I was invited to do some search. I did some. I saw enough of some serious flashbacks for me. I had to go. It's heart crushing, and I feel really bad.
Yeah, I mean, anytime people are uncovering small kids and families, and I mean,
that's not what I saw. I didn't. Yeah, fortunately, I didn't have to see that, but I did see an older couple, and it was bad, and I was like, I'm out. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
I mean, people don't realize that stays with you forever. That never leaves.
Well, I already had enough. I've been in the sandbox, man. I didn't need to, but as a Texan, and I'm only like 3 hours away by car, so I jumped in the car and went up there. But I wasn't the only. Well, there's all kinds of Texans showing up, and from other states too. New Mexico and other places are showing up because we all kind of band together. Virginians do the same thing. Roger that.
Yeah. We stuck together. Our communities came together during that flood, and I mean, it was just as bad, if not worse. And it's still mass destruction here.
Well, 26 feet in 45 minutes is not, somebody being ripped to pieces fault. This had nothing to do with and somebody's crazy as if they think that a person has that kind of power. This happened in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And somebody asked, wasn't it 80 in 88 that it was 35, 36? It may have been 88 or 87, but you're correct. It was up in the high 30s.
Yeah.
And the other thing is we've been in a drought for 5 years. All through these areas that got slammed. That's why. Too, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's a true. Go ahead.
Anytime you live near a river, you got to know these are possibilities.
There you go. That's key, bro. I says. It sounds like I'm drinking. No, I'm not. I should be after what happened. But look, you said it perfectly well said. If you're close to a body of water, unless it is exclusive as like a lake, like Lake of the Ozarks, although they had some people killed up there. What was it, 4 or 5 years ago? They were out on one of those party boats, and a big storm came up. It was like a 1 in a million thing, and it was like a cyclone. It jumped down on the lake, on Lake Ozark. They were out on that party boat. Man, it killed them all. Stuck them. They just did a whirlybird on them and down like a flush in a toilet, and they were gone. It was a trip.
I've seen a water spout.
Yeah, it was. That's what it was.
I've seen tornadoes and I've seen water spouts.
Yeah, me too.
And you wouldn't want You don't want to get caught up in either one of those.
But on a lake, don't you think it's? Oh, now if you've been to Lake of the Ozarks, you know it's gigantic, right? But I'm just saying, on a lake, you know, you wouldn't think so. But it's anything's possible. Just you know, I'm going to go away with the call with this, my brother. You know, think about it this way. I really believe this, and the more time that goes by that God gives me, I know it even more in my heart. And it's this: that the more I think I know, the more I realize I don't know as much as I thought I knew. Number one. Number two, don't be surprised of anything that's happening in the world today. But it's just about recognizing, well, what's this all mean? Are these signs of the end of times? I would say not. It would be just like the storm saying, well, it's this person's fault because, well, they didn't allocate enough money for the Doppler radar gang. No, that's not true. That's a bunch of hokey pokey. We need to recognize that children lost their lives. Parents are devastated. They'll never be the same. It's a wreck. And it wrecks me and it wrecks us all. And I just say we all have to pray for them. That's all we can do. But one more thing, please, before I go. Do you know any more on the status of the children up in Nova Scotia?
Still no word. I mean, there's a lot of rumors flying and swirling around. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later. But far as where the kids are at, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
All right. All right. Well, brother, I'll check out of the net here with y'all and let some of your other great audience members get in here and say their piece. And I love y'all. And please keep supporting Dolly Vision and True Crime.
All right, Johnny.
Peace, brother.
Sweep the leg. Peace. All right, that's Cobra Kai there. So, yeah, listen, you know, when you live near a river, any river can rise. Okay. Storms, you know. And it's like I live off the ocean. I know there can be hurricanes. You got to be prepared for evacuation measures because we get hit with a lot of hurricanes. You know, if you live somewhere there's typhoons, you got to be prepared. Or what is it when the water floods in? I forget. But anyway, if you live near the water, your ass better be prepared for some Mother Nature. Flooding, flash floods, things like that. And like I said, I never really took the flash floods seriously until this. Now, when I see flash floods, I'm going to be like, tsunami. Thank you. Tsunamis. Where the water just crushes in and it, you know, like the wave crashes and just keeps going. And we've seen, you know, everything. Earthquakes kill thousands of people, hurricanes kill people, tornadoes killing people, earthquakes. Prepared for Mother Nature. Play. Dolly. Hello. Going once. Going twice. Hey, what's going on?
It's Margo from Florida. You know, while you're talking about when you live by water, there's always a risk. One thing I thought of when Johnny was talking with you just now is also during hurricanes, you know, the ocean will come up, but when it goes back down, it goes down pretty quick and it dries up pretty easily. But the houses by the river goes over and those houses just get demolished and the water just sits. So it has nowhere to go almost. You know what I'm saying? So when Asheville happened, you know, it was not only not used to that, but it's also how the water subsides. And when there's a difference in the bodies of water, so something like this where a river is, you know, overflowing, I feel like just from my experiences, the river always goes down a lot. Like, you know, it takes a lot longer and, you know, so it just sits more.
Yeah.
And that's going to, you know, add to some of the
devastation.
Yes, absolutely. So you just had my wheels turning there for a minute, and I just wanted to add to that because I think it plays a role in what's happening and the rescue efforts. So,
well, you know, the good thing about areas that are hit with hurricanes a lot, like we build things to withstand hurricane force winds and flooding, you know, because we get it so much here that we kind of prepared for it, you know, with surge walls and different things. And I've seen some major hurricanes hit, and I mean, I've seen some damage. Like I said, trees blowing down the road, but far as the buildings we build around here, they've damn near built to withstand anything. Like the hotels and stuff, they right on the water and they take a beating, but they always there at the end of it. And like I said, I've seen storms with winds of 100, 130 miles an hour with trees blowing down the road. But I think everything is built so well here because of that. We know we're going to get hit with so many storms that the building codes and stuff like that are so strict on everything being built. So when these high winds do hit, we're not totally devastated.
Yeah, and then this also just being like a campsite.
They should have had some
buildings were not made to withstand, anything like that, I imagine.
You would think after this they'll learn to put, I hate to say this, but now do air horns. So when there is a emergency in the middle of the night and there's kids, because they knew them kids were there, and they had very little warning. We need to do better, right? We need to do better. They need air horns or something that would have sound to alert these people to evacuate those kids immediately. And it seems like time they realized to evacuate, it was already too late.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think it just is a matter of, like everyone's been saying, the last one was in 87. It takes a tragedy like this to put something like that in place because it's definitely a need now. We see that. And it should have been addressed before, but it just never really happened. But just like the Midwest, and even I've been in Chicago visiting my cousins, and you hear these air horns and they're like, oh, there's a tornado coming down the street,
Yeah.
So we learn through these tragedies, and that's definitely something I hope they put in place because now we see it. And I think this needs to be maybe, it's opening our eyes to reevaluate all these lower lying areas and where you have campsites. There might need to be now a building code that you do have some type of signaling system. So
yeah,
absolutely.
And we shouldn't wait till something tragic happens to fix things, but that's the only time things do get fixed, after something bad happens.
And because I don't think anyone honestly thinks about it. Who would have thought this could, have happened before it happened?
And that little bit of rain, and that little bit of rain did all this. Only a foot of water fell. Like we get a foot of rain around here a lot, and it don't flood. I mean, it may do a little bit of flooding, but nothing where houses are floating down the street and kids are dying.
Right, but it also depends on the ground saturation and how much it had been raining before.
Yeah.
Because, being from Florida, there's certain months we just get, like right now, just get dumped on by rain. And I've seen it where the ground can't even hold the water, and, we're not in a low-lying area. So it's like it'll seep up just from the ground from a few days of rain. So I don't know how much rain they were having prior to this. And then that 1 foot, just like there was nowhere for it to go, so that sometimes can play a role too. But I mean, it definitely doesn't seem like that amount was supposed to do this much damage.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, man, that ain't much. And to 1 foot of rain and it fucking rose to water 30 foot. I was like,
yeah,
wow.
No, we can't even how can we even conceive that?
What if it would have been like
our mind?
That ain't even a really bad storm to me. What if it had been a really bad storm? They would have been.
No, I know. How long did it last? It wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a day of rain that was just, sits over the thing. I mean, obviously it was something sitting over it, but not like how a hurricane can sit over you for a day or two.
Yeah. Yeah, we get that a lot where the hurricane will just stall out right off the coast and just drop gallons and get his water for days. So I've been all through that. Like, is it ever going to stop raining? So yeah, I've seen some bad. We get hit with a lot of tropical storms here because usually when hurricanes are coming, for some reason, they always hit the Carolinas first because it sticks out a little bit. And they'll hit the Carolinas, and time they hit where I'm at in Virginia, they usually slow down a lot. But then we hit the tropical storms and the rains, and it just pours and pours and pours. Raining so hard, you like, it's just, you step outside, you're drenched. It's just that raining that hard. But hey, look,
because you guys are like the end point, so it's just like it gives you the rest of what it's got and just like drops it all on you.
yeah. But the bad thing about the tropical storms is then tornadoes, they spark up tornadoes. So we're simultaneously getting hit with tropical storms and tornadoes because by the time the hurricane gets here, it's died down. But then we get all the tornadoes and the rain, and it's just crazy amounts of it. And them tornadoes will be destroying all kinds of stuff. I'm more scared of a tornado than a hurricane.
Absolutely, me too.
You know, so
because you have like almost no warning. Those can just come out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, you know, a hurricane's coming. You know, but them tornadoes, they can pop up anywhere at any time, and as soon as they get a little opening, so that wind can start to spin. And I've seen a tornado. That's one of the scariest things I've ever been through. It was a tornado. So,
man.
Yeah,
I know.
All right. Well, you be good.
All right. You too, Dolly. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Take it easy. Peace. I remember I was driving, and just a quick little story before we get back to this newscast right here. I was driving, and all of a sudden it gets like pitch black. I mean, this daytime, sun out, right? It turns black like it looked like it was midnight. It got so black so fast. And first it started raining, like, I mean, just pure tea buckets of rain. Like, couldn't see nothing. So I couldn't see any rain. So I pulled over to the side of the road, right? Just trying to wait because it's raining hard. And usually when it rains really hard, it ain't going to rain really long. But it's pitch black. It just turns instantly pitch black. Water starts just pouring, right? And all of a sudden, I can hear the hail start hitting my car. Do, 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 do. I'm thinking, damn, right? I don't want to tear my car up, right? And I look back, and I see the biggest tornado I've ever seen in my life. I've only seen one tornado in person, and this was this one. So it was definitely the biggest one I've ever seen in my life. And this shit was coming down the road. Like it was like coming down the road. I was in my car. I just gassed it. Boof. I couldn't see shit. I just driving, hitting the windshield. I was just like, the tornado was coming right at me. Dolly,
this is George down here in Houston.
What's up, George?
So, you know, we get flooded a lot down here.
Uh-huh.
And especially like in the underpasses where they run the road under an overpass.
Yeah. Well, it got a little
and then and people drive off into that and they drown their cars and all that shit. Mm-hmm. So I've always wondered, why don't they have some kind of a float device that triggers an alarm? You know, or sets off some warning lights or a warning alarm.
Oh, like when the river rises so much?
When the water rises so much in these spots, you have a float like you have in your toilet that turns off the water, except instead of turning off the water, it turns on a trigger alarm.
Yeah, air sirens or lights or something to alert people.
Something to alert people that, hey, don't come here. Don't go through this or evacuate here. Yeah. It would be so easy to do. Right.
I mean, yeah. I guess especially if you're in low-lying areas where you know the possibility of mass flooding can take place. You know, I'm not in a real low-lying area. I mean, it floods. Don't get me wrong. My yard floods really bad. But it don't flood. I've never seen it rise up above my cinder blocks on my house.
Well, this place through Texas where this flood happened, this is known as a flood alley.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
So why wouldn't they have some kind of a trigger system to say, hey, look, once the water gets up about this high, we're going to sound this alarm. And we got an automatic system that does it, and it uses a float to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there could have been better measures in place, you know, for those kids. And as a state, you got to know those kids are there. Them kids should have been evacuated. You know,
exactly. Like put one of these float things that I'm talking about, this float alarm, you know, about, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet below where the camp is. And if the water gets this high, it's time to leave.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And here's
there's an alarm that goes off. I mean, it would cost $12 to build that.
Flash flood.
Why were all the dams open during a flash flood? That I don't know. I think if you close the dams may break. So if you don't release the water, then you have the dam break, then you flood everything. They usually in massive things open a lot of the dams so it don't break the dams.
Right. They leak the dams.
Yeah. So if you keep all the water in, the whole damn wall is going to give, and then next thing you know, you flooding the whole town.
Right, but you got to control that leak.
That's what happened in Carolina when the hurricane hit. The dams broke, and then the devastation it did was ungodly. I mean, like, it made Texas look like not so bad. You know what I'm saying? You see the little bit of damage in Texas, and then you see what it did to Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and North Carolina. Oh my God! It almost wiped out 3 states.
They're trying to control the dam, but the water keeps coming over the dam, and then it breaks the dam. Or
and you got to remember, our country has shitty infrastructure too. We haven't repaired anything in 60 years. Most of this stuff was built 60 years ago and never been fixed or replaced. And now
that's because we're more interested in sending all of our money over to Ukraine and Israel.
Yeah, I mean, that's whole getting into the political thing, but I'm just saying our infrastructure is bad here. We got bridges collapsing, all kinds of stuff. We need to spend a little bit of money on America. Is what we need to do.
I agree. What happened to America first?
I'm just saying I ain't trying to go political. I'm just saying we need to fix some of the things around here because it's time. You know what I'm saying? It's time.
Well, the only reason I called was to suggest that somehow there's some kind of a signal system that could go to these camps and stuff, and even to people's houses. I mean, it wouldn't be nothing to put a thing up in your yard that said that, hey, the water's getting high. Once it gets this high, it's time to leave.
You know, here's the thing about that, though, George. Even at the moment that it rose to where to evacuate the kids, they still didn't have enough time. That water rose in 15 to 30 minutes. 30.
I know it. That's why you need some kind of a system that says once the water gets this high, you need to leave.
Even if the water would have rose a foot and the system would have went off, you got 30 minutes to evacuate 800 children. Right? It's insane. There's no way.
I know, but you got 30 minutes to run them children up a hill and get them out of the harm's way.
I guess. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
You don't have much time. Basin.
Yeah.
These camps are in a river basin. Okay, so you can run to higher ground. At least you got a sporting chance if you got some kind of a signal there.
Yeah,
it's just operated by a $12 float.
I agree. I totally agree that there needs to be something put in place, and it shouldn't have had to come to this to know that, right? They should have had better protection for these kids in case of emergency. And
but what they're relying on is the internet and phones and 5G and everybody getting, no, you don't need all that. All you need is a fucking
I understand what you're saying. A float
out there hooked up to a fucking red light and an alarm that says, hey, it's time to leave.
Joe said sleep in a lifeboat. There you go. You need some boats. If you had a boat, you'd have been good to go. But then the boat would have washed away. You wouldn't, dangerous situation any way we look at it. Even if you had an alarm going off, you still only got 30 minutes to evacuate, to get kids up, get them out of the house.
I'd at least like to have a red light or an alarm go off and give me 30 minutes to get the hell out of there and get to higher ground.
I would too. I would too. I ain't that great of a swimmer to be doing all that. All right, George, you be good.
All right, you too.
All right, peace. Now you can believe this. They are going to be taking better measures going forward. I mean, yeah, I didn't even open. Dolly. Hello.
Hey, what's up, bub?
What's up? Who's this? Where you calling from?
Oklahoma City. This is Xander.
Did you say Xander?
Yeah.
Okay.
Xander.
What's up, Xander?
To be honest, I really don't watch you, but my old lady does.
Okay, I don't watch me
Anyways,
either. I don't blame you.
So, I don't know if you've seen this video of this chick talking about the girls and the flood. I watch a channel called Hodge Twins. Anyways,
Yeah, I know who the Hodge Twins are.
Okay, they done a video just a little bit ago about a girl who was talking crap about the flood victim girls at the camp, talking about that camp was racist because it was all white girls.
Oh wow!
And yeah,
there ain't no time for that right now. This is a tragedy to break out.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of want to get her out there about how she's being like that.
That's horrible. Like this ain't a time and place. This is a time when people should be coming together and praying for these victims and the families, not trying to tear people apart and tear down the system. Right now, we need to love each other, not hate each other.
I just watched that video. It made me mad enough to want to call you to try to help spread that out about that woman.
What did the twins say about it? What did they have to say about
it? They weren't happy about it at all.
No.
Because some people commented about her video, and she said maybe it was God who washed those little CUNTs away.
Oh man.
She posted that on her fucking thing.
There was a Twitch guy that said thank God it happened because they would have grew up in a generation of AI and Chat GPT, and he got total hell for what he said. That stuff like that.
Chick, I think she's already lost her job.
Yeah, they'll cancel you. That we live in this cancel culture now. You say the wrong insensitive things right now, people they'll destroy your life. They'll make sure you never work again. They'll make sure nobody hires you.
That video, it's going to make you really mad.
Yeah, I had to check it out.
Tell you that.
I used to watch the Hodge Twins all the time. I like.
She doesn't take any accountability for what she says. She just tries to blame it on everybody else.
Yeah, some people still think it's 1965. It's 2025. A lot of this racism don't even exist if people perpetuate it. And why they do that, I don't understand. Like, but we live in a different time and a different age. That shit's unacceptable,
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
So she'll realize her mistake. She'll feel the heat from it. I bet she won't say it again.
I don't know. She didn't sound like a very smart person.
Oh, and maybe she will then, Yeah. I mean, what do you do when somebody's an idiot? I mean, there's not much you can do with it,
I've always been told the doctors can fix about everything. They just can't fix stupid.
Yeah, they can't fix stupid. There's no cure for that one. All right, my man, you be good.
Yeah, you be good too.
All right, peace. Yeah, listen, it was a religious camp of kids, and maybe that religion has a lot of white people in it. Who knows? But that ain't got nothing to do with race. Listen, life is life no matter what color you are. I wouldn't want to see 27 white kids in the water. I wouldn't want to see 27 black kids in the water. I wouldn't want to see 27 Asian kids. It would all weigh the same, right? A life is a life, no matter who you are, where you're from, right? Like, ain't no life more special than other. I believe we're all created equal, the same, right? So to see people, here's my thing about the whole racism thing. When people start screaming racism, I think you're the racist one, okay? Because you're the one perpetuating this shit, right? That's my beliefs in it, right? As soon as people start pulling these race cards, I'm like, the person screaming you're racist most likely is the racist person. Okay, that's just the way it is, and nobody should be fighting right now or downplaying what is going on or blaming it on certain things. This, just like Johnny said, this was an act of God, rain, Mother Nature. It's nobody's fault. You know, we got to learn from it and fix our mistakes. Dolly. Hello. Hello.
I was trying to turn you down.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'm Kim from Missouri.
Hey,
and
Kim.
I seen the most awesome video. It was some of the kids that they got out of the camp and they had them on this bus. And all of these little girls was praising God, and they were all praying for the rest of the kids. It made me cry.
Yeah.
It made me cry. They were all praising God, and they were, praying for all the rest of the kids. And then they were praising God that they found those two girls 24 feet up in those trees. They found two girls up in the trees, and they were like 24 feet up in there. But they were both alive.
I can tell you this: when Satanists pray to God when their time is coming. Yeah, everybody turns religious when it's getting close to when it's close to that time and you're scared for your life, everybody turns to God. Who else do you got to turn to? So
I was so hard. It touched my heart so much because all those kids on that bus was praising God, and they were, singing, and they were trying to be joyful and praying for the rest of the kids. And some of the teachers or the people that the grown-ups that were there at the school with them, were missing. And it touched my heart so much. And then I went from that video clip, I went to another one, and it was in bold letters on YouTube, and it said they deserved it. That made me so mad because, and I didn't see who posted that clip on YouTube, but it said they deserved it. And I thought, what a damn idiot.
Well, where there's good, there's evil. There's just evil people in this world, right? That their time will come. Their time will come.
That's what I said too. Their time will come. Nobody deserved what happened to not just the kids, but everybody else that's in this situation,
Yeah.
And it's like, are you for real? Did I just read that right? They deserved it. Nobody deserves something like that.
You don't wish death on people. You never do,
It's like, you know what? I'm a Christian, and I thought, you know what? I wouldn't want to be standing in your shoes.
No. And I believe you get what you put out in this world. If you put out good in this world, good things are going to come to you. If you put out bad in the world, bad things are going to come to you. So I
believe that too.
As much good as I can and much joy as I can, so I get that back.
Amen. Me too. Me too.
And these people that are saying these horrible things, and they're just horrible people. Like the last caller said, doctors can fix most of anything. They can't fix fucking stupid.
That's right. Yes, nobody can fix stupid.
Yeah. So
you might be a little slow, but and that can maybe be worked through. But stupid, you can't fix.
I've been trying to get the doctor to cure my stupidness for a long time, and it ain't working. It ain't working. I've tried everything. And I'm still dumb as a brick. Dumb as a brick. All right. Well, I appreciate you calling.
Okay. You have a good evening. Bye.
You too. Peace. Yeah, I went to the doctor last time. I said, look, doc, I got a serious case of stupid. Okay. He said, well, take 2 aspirin. And I said, that all that does is help my headache. He's like, yeah, we can't cure your stupidness, right? We can't cure your stupidness. So listen, people are going to say hateful things. And in this day and age, there's backlash for saying terrible, horrible things. Dolly.
Doug from Tennessee.
Y'all want to talk tonight? I didn't even get through my story and the phone still haven't stopped ringing. What's up, Doug?
I got to get my dolly fixed, bro.
Dolly fixed? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who called for the rain, Doug? Was it your fault? Was you doing a rain dance at the Indian reservation? What was you doing?
I wasn't dancing, that's for sure.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's Mother Nature has no fury, brother.
You out there with eagle feathers dancing in a circle. I know what you're doing.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, Mother Nature's bad, man.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to live life every day, enjoy life, because you never promised tomorrow.
That is absolutely right. Amen to that. And Mother Nature can be ugly sometimes, but it can also be beautiful. That's the bad part of it. There's the yin and the yang of it. Right now, you just got the yang.
But you gotta take life as it goes. The Lord had the reason for this.
I know. I said the same thing, and maybe there's a place he needed those little kids in heaven for some reason.
That's it.
I mean, us faithful people, we got to believe that, we got to believe that there's a reason for this that took place, and it was meant to happen. It's hard on us, right? But we got to remember, if you believe, these kids went to a better place, if you believe. If you don't believe, then it really sucks. But if you're a believer, you know that they're beside God.
That's it.
And all of us are going to die. We're only here for a glimpse, a speck of time. It ain't even that long. All of us.
Well, he got your number. He got the number added up.
Yeah.
And you're gone when that number comes around. I don't care if you got 1,000 doctors with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is true. When it's your time to go, it's your time to go. And
have you heard anything more about Lilly and Jack? They found them kids yet?
No, just more people spread misinformation and lies, and RCMP has failed these children. I mean, I'm at the point now where I just feel the police have failed these kids. And 2 months in, we ain't got no arrests, no nothing. And every day it's like more lies are being exposed from all these people, but no answers for these kids.
Well, I mean, people throw stuff up just like this flood. They think the government caused the flood.
Yeah, the government didn't cause the floods. Okay, they didn't cause the floods. Now they may be a little. The government may have caused some other things in this world, but they didn't cause the flood. This is just Mother Nature. There's storms, bad things happen all over the world all the time, and it's a tragedy. But there's a reason for it, like you said, Doug, and we got to remember that. I mean, we might not understand it, but there's a higher purpose for everything that happens. Maybe this flood right here, where we lost these people, will put in place actions that'll save lives of thousands of other people at a different given time. So everything, happens for a reason, and we need to learn from it. That's the biggest thing, to make sure something like this don't happen again and we save future lives. Don't let these kids die in vain.
That's it. And it don't matter who you are, where you are. Like I say, your number is called, you're gone.
Yeah. And for the people that ain't religious, when you laying there thinking you're gonna die, you'll become friends with God. Even
And
if,
that's like
even for the people that don't believe in that moment, you'll take your chances. Okay.
that's like
You'll take
all
your
these
chance.
kids that are missing, these parents that they blaming and stuff. One day they have to meet the maker.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to be meeting the maker knowing that I've done something to my children.
Definitely
But
not.
I still believe them kids got some candy.
You may be right. You may be right because more things are coming out that
But I told you a long time ago he was on that Bam Bam.
he definitely on something. Allegedly. Allegedly.
I thought just by looking at him. You can look at them, man. You can look at people like that and you can tell.
Well, I mean,
they look like a skeleton.
Yeah, he's a thin guy. I mean, but not all the time. I've seen people that be 300-400 pounds be on drugs.
Yeah, but after a couple of years of it, though, you start looking bad.
I don't know. I knew a fat guy that did drugs all the time, and he was fat as shit his whole life. He was a druggie, like straight druggie, and he's still 300 pounds. He be doing drugs with a Twinkie in his hand.
It's crazy though. You got to love your kids. Make sure you tell them you love them. Hug your kids all the time.
That's everybody, because you never know, Doug. You just nobody ever knows. That's like me. I was sitting there watching Netflix, felt great. Next thing you know, I'm having a massive heart attack. I'm in ICU. I wake up, and the first thing I did when I was going out, I was praying to God. When I woke up, I was praying to God. So in both situations, when I thought I was gone, believe it or not, I can't believe how calm I remained. And I think I did that because Tiffany was there and I didn't want to scare her. And I was panicking on the inside, but on the outside, I stayed real calm, real collective. And I was like, don't worry. This is, because if you're going to say something to somebody, you got to get your last words out. You got to remain calm to do it. And I'm kind of shocked at how calm I stayed. When the chances were the preacher is over there reading me my last rites, and I'm telling my kid, I'm talking to my kid, and I remain pretty calm. And I guess that's the faith in me that, that it's going to be okay.
Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. I mean, you can't change it. It's up at that point, your life is in the hands of the surgeon and God. So you're like, it's going to go the way it goes, and I have no control over it, right? You have no control at that point, and all you got is the power of prayer. You have nothing else. So that's why you got to tell everybody you love them every day, because just because I'm alive now don't mean I'll be alive tomorrow. Knock on wood. Hopefully God has a plan and keeps me here for a good while. But you just never know. There's so many ways to die. And that's why you got to be good with the world, just in case.
Enjoy life every day.
Yes. I slept in today. I enjoyed it. I slept all day. I was out. I was like,
but I mean, hey, I have fun. I help anybody I can. And have fun every day.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my wife every day that I love her. And I get my dolly piece every week.
There you go. All right, Dougie Fresh, you be good, my brother.
Tell BJ bye.
I will. Peace.
Later.
Okay, I don't want to turn it into a sermon. Okay, I really don't. But listen, I just tell you, when you face with it, and it does make you appreciate life a little bit more, that scare, right? And you're a good person. Dolly.
Hey, Dolly.
Hey, Rita.
It's Rita from Dexter.
Hey, Rita.
Yes. Shout out to Alex. Before I talk, I did sub up to him.
Did you?
But anyway,
he owes me $5 now.
Anyway, no, I just wanted to let him know that. I've been watching all these stuff. Like I even went over and watched some JLR when he covered some stuff on this, and I've been watching all these news stories on this. And I watched Caroline today, when the count was up to, I think she said 104.
Yeah, it's 104 right now.
And yeah, and a few of these reports, people in the chat rooms, and it ain't just them. Like some of these people are saying that the kids at Mystic River, okay, it's like a place that is all about teaching the children about living off the land and this and that. So no cell phones were allowed. That's why they didn't get warnings. None of them had phones.
Yeah.
And that's what they said. They said nobody. They said the warnings were sent out 3 hours before by the National Weather Service to evacuate or whatever, because that is what they're saying. They said that they had sent those warnings out, but people in that area did not get them because they did not have the ways to receive them.
Yeah.
So there was no way they knew enough in advance.
Well, them counselors should have been aware of.
Yeah. The thing is they, from what they're saying, Dolly, is not even the 17-year-olds were allowed their phones. So I mean, I don't know the whole gist of that. I just know that there are some really mad people in comments that know the area down there. And we had to check on one of because I told you I have other YouTubers I follow that I know personally. And one of those YouTubers is Brittany Blaine. And she's a home decorating channel, and she lives in the hills of Texas.
Okay.
But she said that when we finally got a hold of her, she had commented back that she is all right, her family is all right, but she hadn't posted in 6 days, so everybody was really concerned about her because she posts like every 3 days. The devastation down there, these people lost their children, and people should not be online saying horrific things about the color of these kids' skin, and it's awful. These parents paid like $5,000 to send their kids to one of the best camps that has the top ratings, and from what I understand, I mean they didn't expect. These are parents. These are loving, decent parents. These are people that really care about their kids. They do not deserve what happened to them, but you can't blame anybody. This is a natural disaster.
Yeah.
And this is horrible. What happened was absolutely horrible.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Mother Nature. I mean, it ain't like it's an act of terror. It's something, a freak flood. I mean,
yeah.
It is what it is. I mean,
yeah.
it ain't no change in it now. And people, ignorant people are going to say ignorant things.
Yeah.
So.
And what my thing is this, I mean, those poor parents, I mean, that's got to be the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah. Right.
When you sit and you watch a parent lose their child, it's horrible.
There's 10 more sets of parents out there with their kids missing. So there's 10 more kids missing right now. And what can you do but hug them, because the odds are not in their favor at this point. You know,
no.
And that death toll, I pray to God it don't rise, but statistically it's probably going to rise.
Yeah, because the Camp Mystic was down there, yes, but there were homes down there. There were people that lived down there. Houses were washed away. I believe the toll when they get done cleaning this up is going to be double or triple. And there has been many people that have come out and said the news does not always report the right number. It will be twice and 3 times that amount because they don't want to stoke fear in the American community. And
you got to remember vacationers, some people they don't even know we're there. So people were there for 4th of July, and some of the people they don't even know are missing yet. So the number could rise even more. And I was just like, wow. Just like, especially to be on on a holiday like it was, and everybody celebrating, and then celebrations are just absolutely crushed hard.
Yeah, and I mean, it's horrible for these people. These are not people that did anything bad to their children. These are people that just lost their children.
Yeah.
They were trying to do something nice for their children and they lost them. So ain't nobody, I mean, everybody, we can send prayers and we're going to do that. Everybody's going to donate. We're going to do what we can do, but we can't get them back their children. I mean, people need to think about that. That is the worst unimaginable pain ever. These are good families, good people that sent their kids there and they lost their children. And you can't even blame the camp. This camp's been there for years.
Mm-hmm.
It's just horrible. The whole story is horrible. And I just want to call in about that because there's a lot of people pointing blame to this person and that person and this and that. But it's just the fact that these parents are the ones that lost. They lost their children.
Yeah.
Land can be fixed and houses can be rebuilt, but you cannot replace the lives of those innocent babies that had no fighting chance.
No.
But I'm going to get off here so other people can call.
All right, Rita.
And I do want to watch the news story you got whenever you get time to play them. I know you're getting a lot of calls.
All right, peace. Rita is absolutely right. Like, nothing's going to change what happened, okay? You can point fingers and do this and do that all you want. But what we need to do is learn from every tragedy, right? To make sure that if something happens again, that river floods again, that the next batch of kids are that much safer, okay? Everything happens for a reason in this world. I truly believe that. And when it's your time to go, you can't cheat death. You just can't, right? When God calls you, God calls you. I know everybody in here is not religious and they don't believe that. That's my belief, though, okay? And I'm just sharing my belief system with you. It may be different than yours, but, you know, and not only was it kids, but these were God's children too. This was a Christian camp. So there may be a reason God needed his children, as sad as that is. And these families that sent their kids to this camp, they understand that because those people have God in their heart already. It's hard, still it's hard. But if they truly believe, this ain't the last time they will see their child. They will see their child again in heaven. Okay. And there's a lot of people that I look forward to seeing one day. I ain't in no rush. Okay. I love them to death, but I ain't in no rush. But once I hit those gates, I'll be in a rush to see them once I'm there. I just ain't in a rush to get there. I don't think nobody is, unless you're super religious, right? You may be in a little rush to get there. There's some things I think I still need to do on this planet, but there's some people when I do make it that way that I look forward to seeing. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is to have God in your heart, right? If not, you don't get to see those people. So you got to believe, right? I ain't trying to push that on you. Do whatever you want to do. I think everybody has their own journey to take in this life, right? And whatever way your path takes you is the way your path takes you. I hate people pushing religion on me. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. That's for you. Everybody experiences their own journey, right? I'm just sharing mine a little bit with you. I ain't saying you got to follow my path, right? Do whatever you want to do. But I think when the time comes, you're going to find, I don't think you find God because I don't think God is lost. I think people are lost. Okay. So you got to make it to where God can find you. Okay. That's my belief system. Let's finish this video. Let me shut the phone lines for a few minutes because I wasn't even planning on taking calls right then. I was going to go through the news and the latest updates and all that good stuff with you. And then, of course, we'll open the phone lines back up in a few minutes.
Video where you see the kind of the wall of water moving, and then a couple days later, like Alex said, blue skies, you can really see where the water receded. It's just hard for a lot of people to understand, I think.
Yeah, and the power of it. I mean, we were talking about at the height, there was 100,000 cubic feet per second of water flowing down the Guadalupe. Take a look at this graphic here. Now, note the time, July 3rd, 3:45 in the morning. The level of the Guadalupe at that point in time was 1.7 feet. This is like many rivers in Texas. They are generally the flow during many times of the year, gentle streams with only 2 or 3 feet of water in them. And then we had that torrential rain. We're talking about 10 to 15 inches of rain in less than 6 hours, all across the hill country, all these tributaries and creeks that feed into the Guadalupe. And then there was a rise from 3:45 in the morning till just before 4:45. So literally less than an hour, it went to 24 feet. And then that wall of water, as Heather just mentioned, went downstream, and 4 to 5 hours later, they saw a 30-foot rise in the same short period of time in the small town of Comfort. Here's the setup. Again, this has its roots in tropical moisture from Tropical Storm Barry, which was briefly over the far southern Gulf. The remnants came ashore in Mexico, and then that tropical moisture was funneled northward into Texas. And we're talking about moisture that was in the 99th percentile or even greater than what we typically see this time of the year. And then you have this weak moving disturbance coming.
George Strait and Shaq donated $3.5 million each.
That is George Strait and Shaq. Shout out to them. I know Jelly Roll donated a bunch of money. That's great to help for the rebuilding process. But you know, what does that do for the families that lost their kids? Right? Money, there ain't no money in this world worth your kid. You know, it's just horrible. It's just a horrible situation.
Along, providing lift, and that generated a well-organized complex of storms that dump rain hour after hour, July 3rd into July 4th, that led to the massive flooding. Fortunately, the situation at this hour is much better. A lot of the scattered showers and storms that we had earlier have now dissipated. There will be some blossoming tomorrow.
And that was Fox 4.
Yeah, it's just saying they care and they support the community. I think it's great what the celebrities have been doing, and people, you know, other Texans have been doing to help, and everybody from around the country that has been going down to Texas to help in the situation. You know, there's still good people in this world. We think of the world as such a bad place, but there's still good people in this world.
Dallas providing the coverage there. We'll continue to check in with them throughout the evening, as well as our station Fox 26 Houston that continues to update on this tragedy. But right now, we want to get some insight on what it is like in these technical water rescues. We see it, you know, from a helicopter perspective sometimes, and it's just hard to imagine what it's like for the actual rescuers that are in that moment when everything seems to be going haywire there on the ground. So I want to bring in our next guest here to give us some great insight on this matter. This is Mike Berna, a technical rescue specialist who has been doing this for decades and is also an instructor as well. And Mike, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox. First off, you know, what was your reaction when you started hearing the news over the weekend about what was happening in Texas?
Well, Mike, first of all, thank you for having me. This event was just the pinnacle, the very high end that an event can occur. As soon as I saw the devastation, the amount of water, the time that it took for that water to accumulate to 30 foot, I knew there was going to be sheer devastation.
Yeah, it's just hard to imagine there, and just seeing just all the reactions and really some of these rescues that are happening. So for our viewers, give us some insight of what is it like for these crews when they get dispatched to these areas?
So, you know, the rescuers are probably expecting swift water conditions, but I guarantee they did not expect this amount of water, let alone the majority of rescues were conducted at night, which makes it extremely difficult to just get your bearings to really see what the conditions are.
Look
and
at
from
that.
the video footage I saw from helicopter rescues and boat-based rescues, again, they were at the high end of the spectrum. The rescuers down there did a tremendous job with the limited capabilities and the limited time that it took for this event to unfold. So it was very impressive, and the guys really were working hard.
Absolutely. And you speak there of the nighttime rescues. Talk about that impact, about obviously very, very hard to see. What are some other big negatives when it comes to the nighttime rescues?
So again, you're very disoriented. I know most of the teams that really take this discipline seriously train very hard, and they train in nighttime conditions. Again, we're trying to simulate the conditions we may encounter on the real scene. But it's just chock full of hazards. As you saw from the footage, everything was swept away, from RVs to trees. So there are a lot of entrapment hazards for the rescuers that you can't always see until you're on top of them. And it usually doesn't end well.
No, not at all. And we were hearing some reports, it's just horrific to think about, but amazing that they were able to be rescued, though, that people were, up about 20 feet in some trees and were okay, but had to be rescued there. Tell us just, when it comes to survival, you'll really try to find really anything to cling on to.
Anything you can. The number one factor here is to stay alive. And we often will find people in trees. And what's so unique is as that water goes down, and we're searching, a lot of people don't think about looking up. These people can be 10. I heard today there were 2 girls rescued that were over 20 feet up in a tree, which certainly would take a helicopter. A lot of these rescues are also boat-based. And again, it is a practice skill set. This isn't something that a rescuer who has never trained for this will be able to successfully pull this off.
No, absolutely. And tell us what goes on into the type of training for this. I mean, just how many hours needed, and just give us a little bit of insight there.
Sure. I can tell you locally with our helicopter assets, we train every month. And we try to duplicate all these types of scenarios.
Yes.
We practice removing people from the trees, from cars, from vehicles, from rooftops. So we try to really try to make this as realistic as possible. And then with the boat-based rescues, again, we're always looking for that big water, typically after it rains, or if we can have a dam-released event, then we will utilize that. Again, we are always trying to push the limit and train to the highest capability and conditions we may encounter. And I know that's what the providers do in Texas. A lot of my counterparts are from that area, and they have a very robust response system. And I know they take their training seriously, and they really push the limit. So they were as prepared as you could be. But again, this event was of biblical proportion.
No, it really, really was. And talk about
Horrible.
how do you guys stay safe in those elements? Because if you're not safe, you can't help others. So how, at the end of the day, are you making those precautions when things are going really haywire out there to still stay safe and do what you can to help those that are desperately in need?
So it's a hazard risk approach. At times you may lean a little bit more out to accomplish a rescue, but some of the factors we take into place is we like to have a secondary boat ready for us. Again, training, the rescuers learn how to read the river, read the water conditions, how to maneuver those boats around obstacles, and especially what happens if they have a motor failure, or God forbid, the boat flips over. And they're all well trained into self-survival and swimming into those environments to self-rescue.
Yeah, it's just really, really something when you think about just everything that they are doing, and how about keeping the rescuers' mental health really solid, after this. I think that's important to talk about too, because they are probably seeing some horrific images that are happening there in Texas. So how, at the end of the day, when they get to go home and kind of really compartmentalize everything that's happening, how do they kind of get the help that they need too?
Sure, it's very difficult having been on multiple deployments. Until you've been through it and you've seen the devastation, it's very hard to wrap your head around it. When you're there, you're in the moment, you're mission driven. But when it all settles down, as you said, you start to take it in. And what really becomes important is talking to your peers, talking to the teammates. And certainly many of the departments now have a crisis management team in place that can help those providers once days pass. And I would advocate that they take advantage of that, because mental health is important, and that's what's going to prolong the lifespan of a rescuer, so they can continue to do their good deeds.
Yeah, so true. And Mike, lastly, what would you say maybe is the one misconception of specialists when they go into these areas that the people might not know about?
So I think what they don't understand is the amount of training it takes to get into this type of environment. The rescuers spend an awful lot of time. The rank and file firefighter, unless they've had training in this, is really not capable to survive or affect rescue in these types of environments. And so it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of commitment. And at the end of the day, there are skill sets behind this. It's just not a blind risk. Well, so Mike, there are a lot of considerations taken into place.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, we appreciate you coming on and giving us some great insight. Thanks for all of your years of service, as well as...
Okay, Texas does not suck. I seen somebody in the chat room say Texas sucks. There's a lot of great people from Texas. Texas is just as much of America as any other part of America, right? America is all I'm going to say. Thank God for the rescuers and the people in Texas that have stood together and helped their brothers and sisters in such a tragic time. So people always say mean things, right? There's just mean people out there in the world. Like we just seen a comment that Texas sucks and this and that and that. Everybody wants to bring politics into a national disaster. Okay. There's really no room for that, right? Mother Nature reared its ugly head and did something horrible, and a lot of people lost their lives. As Americans, this is when we come together, right? This is where we stand strong and we pray for each other, because they need that. They don't need a bunch of shit talking. Okay, shit talking. What has shit talking got done in this world, right? Being an asshole, what has that ever accomplished? But look what good people can do when they stand strong together and unite. Right? That's just, some people cannot let shit go. Like they dwell on stuff and they just, you're mad at your, yeah, I think there's something about when people are just hateful. It's like they're mad at themselves. All you're doing is projecting your hate onto the world. Okay? Everywhere has its own unique beauty in this world. That is absolutely right. I've only been to Texas one time, and that was just to the airport. I never made it out of the airport. I was there for a layover. So technically I've been to Texas, but I haven't really been to Texas. Okay. Just one of those things. Now I can fly, so you never know where I'll be. But like I said, I just had a layover. In Texas, I didn't get really a good chance to experience Texas. Maybe next time I'm down that way, I will, but still kids missing. So this is not over yet. There's still, like I said, at least 10 families that don't know where their kids are. And most likely they're going to be getting the most horrible news you could ever get as a parent. Al says, my heart goes out to all the families who lost loved ones. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, it is absolutely horrible. There is no doubt about that. Okay. Let me kick into this video.
The lives lost in the Texas floods and the desperate search for the missing.
If people are watching this, what do you want them to know? What do you want to tell them?
We need help. That's all I can say. We need help.
From CBS News headquarters
is off tonight. The floodwaters were too much for the ground to absorb, and now the enormity of the disaster is nearly impossible to bear. The loss of more than 100 people, many of them children, attending summer camp. 8-year-old sisters Hannah and Rebecca Lawrence of Dallas had just finished second grade. Their brokenhearted parents said, they brought us so much joy. We are devoting much of this broadcast to this still unfolding tragedy, which began in the early morning hours of the 4th of July. Camp Mystic, just west of us here, was washed away when heavy rain caused the Guadalupe River to crash over its banks in a matter of minutes with little warning.
My goodness.
We made our way to Camp Mystic along the Guadalupe River in Hunt, Texas, an all-girls Christian summer camp that was destroyed.
Wow.
Yeah. Inside the camp, we met Fletcher Cordell as he searched for what was left of his 11-year-old daughter's belongings. Olivia was rescued by helicopter as the deadly river rose 26 feet in less than an hour.
I'm just trying to do what I can for my daughter. And right now what that means is getting as much of her stuff as I can.
27 campers and counselors were killed in the flash flooding, including 18-year-old Chloe Childress, a counselor who had just graduated from high school, and the camp's owner, Dick Eastland. This video shows playful moments at the camp just days before it was destroyed. Since Friday, hundreds of search and rescue operations have been launched around the clock, leading to 850 water rescues. Dozens more rescued by helicopter from tree branches and rooftops. We flew over the flood zone on a Coast Guard plane equipped with thermal technology that can pick up body heat in the dense woods below.
From the cockpit, you get a totally different view. You get the perspective of the pilots as they search the rivers, the campsite, anywhere, any sign. They're looking for survivors.
But on this mission, they came up empty. Lieutenant Jordan Hobson is with the Coast Guard.
We want to do everything that we can in our ability to help find any survivors that are still out there. So we're going to put forward our best effort.
Across the road from Camp Mystic, 30 family members of 67-year-old Alicia Olvera are looking for her everywhere. Olvera's husband was found dead, and she's been missing since Friday.
Where does she live?
She lived right there in the house.
Juvia Torres is her daughter.
If people are watching this, what do you want them to know? What do you want to tell them?
We need help. That's all I can say. We need help searching. We need to find her.
And you certainly wish them the best. Our hearts go out to them and all the people here trying to struggle, trying to deal with this. Everywhere you turn, there are people with stories, tears in their eyes. You wonder how long it's going to take for them to recover, if they ever will. The flooding here in the Texas Hill Country is common, and there were alerts leading up to the 4th of July, but no one foresaw the disaster that was coming. Jason Allen joins me now with that part of the story. Jason.
Maurice, we have been asking people since we got here the day of the flood, if they knew when they went to bed on July 3rd if this river was going to rise. We found that debate on how to alert people to that danger has been going on here for years.
The first sign of trouble came Wednesday, July 2nd, 2 days before the flood. The Texas Division of Emergency Management activated state emergency response resources, citing increased threats of flooding. On Thursday, the National Weather Service brought in extra staff to monitor for flooding and issued a flood watch. At 1:14 a.m. local time on Friday, the agency sent out its first emergency alert for Kerr County. That triggered cell phone alerts and weather radios, but it did not mention evacuation. It sent another alert at 3:35 a.m. Again, no mention of.
So they never told the people to evacuate? I didn't even know that. I thought the 1:30 was one to evacuate. They just got a warning that there was a flood. They were never towed at 3:30 in the morning. They still wasn't towed to evacuate. Oh my God. No wonder nobody got out. They weren't even told to leave.
Evacuation. At 4:03 a.m., Kirk County residents were urged to move to higher ground now, calling the flood an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation.
By then, it was too late. I mean, the water rose in an hour. By that point, they're already fighting for their lives.
Time-lapse video shows the water level rising to 23.4 feet in Kerrville.
It only took 45 minutes for the Guadalupe River to rise 26 feet in some places. The hill country is widely known as Flash Flood Alley because the intense rain that hits the hills, it falls on limestone, and the runoff roars down canyons.
Back in 1987, a flash flood killed 10 teenage campers. CBS News teams captured video as people were rescued from treetops and out of the raging river. 8 years ago, local officials say a lack of funding prevented emergency sirens from being installed. Today, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick told us the state.
Wow. Right there. See, that's what I've been saying. Why wasn't there air horns in place? They should have learned from the last flood. Wow. This is a breakdown of government right here. I guarantee they had money. I guarantee all these politicians and the governors and the mayors, they make good ass money in this town, but they couldn't put no air horns in for flooding. Oh, they dropped the ball. Now I know this is Mother Nature, but hey, these people got to take some awareness that this could have been avoided. Lack of funding. Yeah, it's where they put their money. I guarantee there was other shit that was stupid as hell that was probably funded that could have easily paid for these air horns, but they wasn't. Wow. Now I know why everybody's trying to pass the buck now. Now I get it. Now I'm understanding a little more why everybody's trying to point the finger at each other, because this could have been avoided.
Could fund an emergency alert system.
If they can't afford to do it, then let us do it.
Is that a possibility?
Sure. We have a special session starting 2 weeks from today. And I think we can take that up and do some other things of funding.
Oh, now they're going to do it, of course. But why do you got to wait till 100 people are dead to spend a little bit of money on something else instead of fattening your pockets? So over 100 people got to die for them to put something in place that should have already been in place. That they knew this river could flood. It ain't like they didn't know it could flood. They knew it could flood. They just basically failed these kids. Horrible. Sounds like a big lawsuit. Right? Like, now I know why they're blaming the weather service and they're blaming everybody else. Because these things should have been put in after the last 10 kids drowned from a flash flood in that river. They didn't tell the people. Thank you, Turtle Gang. Jumping on that train, the Blessed Express. Dolly gotta eat. Okay. I need to put in damn warning signals. Right? I'm gonna take that $5 and put in a warning signal. Oh God. Okay, so they didn't ever told the people to leave. They put out a warning at 1 o'clock. They put out a warning at 3:30. Never told the people to evacuate. By 4:30, they're telling people to get to higher ground, but the water rose 30 feet in an hour. They never installed air horns after they were supposed to because they didn't have the funding or the funds to do it. This could have all been avoided. It could have all been avoided. These 27 kids, they could possibly be alive today if they would have put these air horns in. In the middle of the night, no cell phones. They didn't know. The kids didn't even know what was coming. The counselors have phones. They were probably in bed themselves. And their notification went out over the phone. What if your phone's dead? What if you aren't paying attention to the phone? That is insane. Misappropriation of funds. That's what I'm saying. I guarantee you that every one of these people drive a Mercedes. Okay? What kind of car you drive? Mercedes, Lexus. What kind of house you live in? Oh, my house is 6 bedrooms, 4.5 baths. I guarantee it. I guarantee ain't one of these damn people live in a shack. They all making $100,000+ a year, and they ain't got money for no damn air horns. Get the hell out of here.
These sirens, if there had been a siren, maybe that would have sparked people to say, oh, we have a massive disaster like 5 minutes away.
Jason, people have been talking about this for years, getting sirens up. Why haven't they gotten it done?
I talked today with Tom Moser. He was on the county commission here back when they talked about this in 2015, 16.
Fire them all. Get new leadership. Okay. In the words of Donald Trump, you're fired. Okay. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. I'd walk in there and clear everybody out. Okay. At least 27 people. How many people died? 104 right now. 104 politicians would be getting fired. At least. I'd walk in and fire everybody. Everybody in the planning, all of them. Fired. Find you a new job. This ain't for you. Right?
Dolly Vision, I think if it wasn't the 4th of July, there might have been a better outcome.
Yeah, you're probably right, Short Legs, because so many people were there, and the people, and thank you, MBS, for being a member for 11 months. Probably not as many people would have been on the water, right? Or if it would have been worse weather. But you got to remember, it's the 4th of July. People are going down to the lakes and rivers to party and hang out and have a good time, set off fireworks, spend time with their family. These people failed these kids. They failed the kids, man. Them things should have been in place. 10 teenagers died, and they never put in air horns after that because they didn't have the funds to do it. They didn't have the funds to save lives. That is insane to me. Fire all these people, okay? You need to fire the mayor, the damn governor, fire all these people, all right? Like, where's Trump when his you're fired apprentice voice? These people shouldn't have jobs today. Like, I don't want to hear shit any of these people got to say because you shouldn't even have a job anymore. You should be working at the post office.
16, 17. He told me that they wanted to get a grant for it. When that didn't happen, there was concern about could they afford it? Would the money be there? And there was also some concern for people who thought the sirens would be maybe more of a nuisance than they would really be of a help.
So after all of this, do you think it's going to happen now?
He does, and he really hates for a tragedy like this, a disaster, to be a catalyst for change. But he knew one of the people who died. And
it's always that. Everybody got to die for them to do anything. Right? It's just the way it is. And that's terrible because, listen, people already died for this change. The 10 kids that drowned when the last flash flood should have been the catalyst for change. Right? But I guess 10 wasn't the magic number. 100 is the magic number. You got to get in those double digits, right? Triple digits to make change. And one life is one too many lives. Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know they didn't tell the people to evacuate. They didn't tell the people to evacuate. Oh my God. How do you drop the ball that bad? Damn. See, all this time, I thought they were telling people to evacuate. That's brand new to me. Didn't tell them to evacuate. Talked about putting air horns, knowing they needed them, but didn't have the funding to do it. Wow.
he really thinks that this time it's going to get done.
Hopefully. All right. Jason Allen, thanks so much.
Hopefully.
Well, as the hours and days go by, we're learning more about the people who've died in this disaster. Here's Janet Shamlian with a look at some of the lives lost.
Joyce Spaden, Mary Grace Baker.
Communities like this Dallas church are struggling with unimaginable loss. The destruction hundreds of miles away, but the heartache close to home.
In the tragic flooding in West Texas.
9-year-old Lila Bonner was a member here at St. Michael. Her life was lost, along with her best friend, 8-year-old Eloise Peck. among the 27 campers and counselors who died at Camp Mystic. Camp director Dick Eastland rushed to the cabins amid the rising water and died, family members say, trying to save some of the 750 girls who were there. Michael McCown drove from Austin to search for his 8-year-old daughter, Linny, trudging through mud and debris.
8 to 9-year-old girls going into 3rd and 4th grade.
Her body was later found, as was the body of bunkmate Renee Samasi,
Wow.
also just 8, whose uncle says the family is thankful she was with friends and that she will forever be living her best life at Camp Mystic. The all-girls Christian camp has been an institution along the Guadalupe River for almost a century. The river is also a popular vacation spot. Sisters Brooke and Blair Harbor, just 11 and 13,
Ted
were
Cruz
staying in a
sorry
cabin
self
with their
was off
grandparents
vacationing
when the
in Rome.
raging river
Ted Cruz' sorry self was on vacation in Rome.
took them. They were found, family members say, with their hands locked together. For some, like Emily Gutierrez, who is missing 3 family members, hope has given way to an agonizing reality.
It's what, day 2, day 3? We don't know. We genuinely don't know, as much as we want to pray and hope. There's only so much a human can actually hold on.
Tonight, in addition to the first responders, hundreds of volunteers have come together to walk the riverbank amid challenging conditions in order to give these families who are still waiting for news of their loved ones some answers, some closure. Maurice?
Cannot come soon enough. Janet Shamlian, thanks so much. The flood danger here is not over. Lonnie Quinn in New York now tracking that for us. Lonnie?
Maurice, the big question is, and everybody wants to know, how does this happen? Here's the situation right now in Kerrville. All right, the area shaded in green. We have a flood watch that's in effect. There could be more to come. But what happened over the weekend? Training showers and storms moved into Kerrville, and it didn't start as a light rain and then become heavier. It went from nothing to something. Rain coming out of those clouds at 6 inches per hour. It ended up with a total of...
I think when they said her best life, they're talking about the joy she was having before it was taken from her. You know, that the kids were having a great time leading up to this, and that camp was great for the kids. I think that's what they mean by her best life, that she was having fun and then her life was taken from her. Like, I mean, if you're going to leave this planet, you want to leave it having fun. I think that would be the best way to leave too, is doing something you enjoy or something you love or having a great time. And then, at least go out happy, but this had to be traumatic and scary and horrible for these kids. I mean, there's just no way around it. And the sad stories you hear, they were finding kids holding hands and clinging on to their friends, and wow, heartbreaking. And the area is not out of the flood zone yet, but I'm sure people have started already to move to higher ground.
13.8 inches of rain. But maybe you're still thinking, how does that translate to all of that water? Kerrville was in about the worst drought condition anywhere in our country. So that ground is not playing the role of a sponge. It's not soaking up any of that rain. It's playing the role of pavement. And all of that rain just funnels into Kerrville. This is hill country, a steep topography. So it's not just 13 to 8 inches of rain in Kerrville. It's from all around the area, and it comes down, and you get a river that reacts like this. At 3:45 in the morning, it's about knee height on me, all right? By 4:45, it rises up. This wall you're going to see is 13 feet high. Imagine the water going another 10 feet beyond that, all within 1 hour. Too much for those people to react in a timely fashion. And we know what happened. We're going to learn from this some way, somehow.
Oh, man.
Tonight here, the scope of the loss is simply staggering. The desperate search for the missing. You can see the Guadalupe River right here behind me. The rain came down so fast, so quickly here in the early morning hours of the 4th of July that the river rose 26 feet in just 45 minutes. The beautiful hill country of Texas underwater. This home I'm standing next to tonight, the wife inside telling me the rising waters reaching her neck very quickly, and she and her husband had no choice but to step out their front door and right into the current of the river that was at their home. How they survived this, you'll hear their story in a moment. Homes washed away here, RVs floating down the river, and of course the heartbreak at Camp Mystic for girls. Tonight, my interview with the Coast Guard rescue swimmer who saved so many children there, and what he said they told him. And as we come on tonight, more than 100 people are now confirmed dead here. Dozens of them are children. The river rising quickly in the dark as the rain fell, the boat rescues that began in those early morning hours. By daylight, other rivers flooding as well. This time-lapse video showing floodwaters rushing in, flooding a causeway in under 10 minutes. This home washed away in Center Point, Texas, floating down the Guadalupe River and right into a bridge there. The Coast Guard lifting dozens to safety in helicopters overhead. This young woman swept miles away from her family's campsite, rescued after clinging to a tree for hours. Tonight, she's in the hospital. We're told she will survive this, but she's also been told 5 other members of her family are still missing. Tonight here, what's left now of Camp Mystic. Some 750 girls were there as the emergency unfolded. After the cabins filled with water and mud, bunk beds destroyed, pink sleeping bags, and
I miss you, my boy. 2 hearts emoji. Glad I caught you live tonight. Prayers for Texas. Praying gesture emoji. Red heart emoji. Blue heart emoji.
Thank you, Sweet Jones. That is awesome of you. Definitely prayers for Texas. 750 kids here. 27 of them swept into the flood. They're saying that all these kids from Camp Mystic are dead. The counselor, the head counselor. It is just terrible. It is just a terrible situation. And then you see houses floating down the river. It's just sad to see their toys like this, you know. We just got to, you know, us people of faith got to hold that God had a reason for this. You know, no matter how bad it hurts us, that God had a reason to call these kids. And the system that's in place failed these kids. Right? When the 10 kids a while back died, the teenagers, these air horns should have definitely been put into place. You know, and they don't have it in the budget to do it, right? But I guarantee you, they spent millions on stupid shit, and then the stuff that was important didn't get done. It's like, I guarantee you, they didn't cut their paychecks. They didn't take a pay cut. If anything, I guarantee they paid themselves more money, and now we got over 100 people dead. Good portion of those small kids. Not good.
treasured stuffed animals, all that's left. The camp tonight saying 27 campers and a counselor have died. And tonight here, we're now seeing some of the first faces of those who did not survive this. There is a massive response here in the flood zone tonight. Among them, that 26-year-old Coast Guard rescue swimmer on his first rescue mission, telling me what he saw when he landed at Camp Mystic. The bravery here in the hill country. Tonight, it is difficult to put into words the scope of the loss across the hill country here in Texas. Here in Kirk County and beyond, so many communities dealing with unimaginable loss. So many of them children, the little girls sleeping at camp. So many lives stolen in one of the deadliest U.S. floods in decades.
Look out, guys!
With more rain in the forecast tonight, searchers have not given up. It was the 4th of July, and families in 6 counties, many of them camping along the Guadalupe River, gathering along the waterfront, a summer tradition. They had just gone to bed, only to wake up hours later before the sun came up because of flash floods, suddenly swallowing up family campgrounds, homes, and sleepaway camps. The river rose 26 feet in just 45 minutes. In some places, 4 months worth of rain in just one night. The force of the floodwaters carrying homes away. This one even crashing into a tree. Bridges severely damaged. Trees snapped in half. Many toppled. Homes left in the middle of the road. This time-lapse video showing just how quickly the floodwaters took over these communities. In just 10 minutes, they were surrounded by water and a deadly current. Much of central Texas and the Hill Country was under a flood watch going into the holiday. And just after midnight, the Weather Service had issued a forecast that showed extreme rainfall was possible. By 1 a.m., the Weather Service said a very dangerous flash flood event was unfolding in Kerr County. Around 4 a.m., a warning of a particularly dangerous situation for Kerr County. But authorities say that rare alert came when most were asleep. The Guadalupe River, right next to Camp Mystic, the century-old all-girls Christian summer camp, where cabins were soon filling with water. The torrent of water, the river overflowing its banks, and soon much of the campground surrounded. Camp counselors sharing videos of young campers just one day before playing. Less than 24 hours later, the horror for the young children there. Some 750 campers, the girls' cabins just a few hundred feet from the river. The younger campers sleeping in the low-lying area when the floods hit in the middle of the night. The images from inside show the destruction. Their cabins, their bunk beds torn apart, their belongings scattered, much of it now gone. And tonight, authorities at Camp Mystic with the heart-wrenching news. They now say at least 27 girls and staff were killed, including a young counselor.
I mean, if you look, the windows even in those buildings are pretty low. Right, so it probably didn't take long for water to start pouring right into those cabins.
They say 10 young campers are still missing. And tonight, this heartbreaking image, a camp t-shirt in the aftermath. And tonight here, a moment of strength from the children. A camp nurse, Devin Williams, sharing images of the surviving campers on a bus to a reunification center where they all began to sing together as they drove through their now unrecognizable camp. Tonight, Coast Guard rescue swimmer Scott Ruskin telling me what he witnessed when the helicopter landed at Camp Mystic. He had just completed a swiftwater rescue course just 2 months ago. The crew decided Scott would stay on the ground with the children. It would allow them to get more of the children out. If you stayed on scene, it would give them a little more space in the helicopter.
Yeah, we assumed that, based on weight, we could probably take 2 more kids every trip.
So they got to work. He told me the children were still in their pajamas, some wearing just one shoe, still soaked and covered in mud from the rising waters. He told me who those children, some just 7 and 8 years old, were asking about.
Primarily just asking about their friends. They wanted to see if I knew anything about their friends, show me pictures, do whatever they could to try to find their friends. And I just told them, I was like, hey guys, I don't know where they are. We have every crew we can possibly imagine.
He told me about the little girls he swept into his arms. At one point, you were carrying 2 girls in one arm.
Yeah, it was one in each arm. But yeah, it was just 2 little kids, 7 years old, didn't have shoes on. I was like, dude, I'm not going to make you guys walk through this mud while you're trying to get to a helicopter.
And tonight here, we are learning about the young lives lost and the brave camp counselors who tried to save them. 8-year-old twins Hannah Lawrence on the left and Rebecca Lawrence on the right. They were attending Camp Mystic with their older sister, 14-year-old Harper, who survived. Tonight, their grandfather, Hannah and Rebecca, gave their whole family so much joy. They and that joy can never be forgotten. Chloe Childress was returning to Camp Mystic as a counselor there and had recently graduated from the Kincaid School. Her school sharing Chloe made space for others to feel safe, valued, and brave. She understood what it meant to be a part of a community. And more than that, she helped build one. She was set to begin her freshman year at the University of Texas at Austin this fall. Dick Eastland was the beloved longtime director at Camp Mystic, who died trying to save the lives of his campers. Tonight, his grandson George calling him a mentor to thousands of young women, saying, although I am devastated, I can't say I'm surprised that you sacrificed your life with the hopes of someone else's being saved. Former counselor Ryan Robinson paying tribute to that longtime camp director.
He made sure that I always felt comfortable and felt at home at Mystic. He was just an extremely selfless person, and he showed that until the very end.
Tonight, we are learning about the incredible stories of survival. Nearly 1,000 rescued since the 4th of July. The San Angelo Police Department airlifting families to safety after water levels rose above their homes. Using boats to scour stadium-sized debris fields for the stranded, using helicopters to reach people clinging to trees. Tonight, the remarkable scene. Neighbors and local authorities helping to rescue a woman in rapidly rising floodwaters. A chain of people pulling a rope to get her to safety. Scott and Juliet Weldon were in their home asleep, waking to the noise, but they had no idea it was the river now at their door. When they saw the water, Juliet put on her husband's life vest. Their motorcycles outside, their Jeep floating away.
Look at this here, the water line.
That's where the water. See that?
That's where the water was, which explains why you're floating in your own home.
Yeah.
She opened up the front door, but told me it took her 3 tries to step into that water, the current sweeping her away.
So you stepped out the front door and the water just takes you.
Oh yeah.
Just like that.
I was like, as I said, like I was just calm and said, like, okay, it's got to go. So I saw this little opening from my neighbor's roof. I said, I can get on the thing.
And I was swimming, trying to catch up with her.
Pretty remarkable that you're standing here.
After that, then that's when I said, like, oh my God. And then seeing all this, it's just like, it breaks my heart.
Scott told me he swam after her. They tried to grab onto trees, onto neighbors' homes, but the current was too strong. Suddenly, they were both pushed into this tall hedgerow by force.
You're holding the tree,
Yeah.
and he's holding you.
Yeah, he's holding me.
Scott told me he was not going to let her out of his grasp.
He wasn't going to let go.
No,
hell no.
35 years and counting.
So many families facing the same harrowing fight. The waters suddenly sweeping them from their homes, from their cabins, sometimes for miles. Tonight,
That is insane. I couldn't even imagine nothing like that. That's so horrific and so horrible to wake up to something like that. And even they didn't know it was coming. But if they'd have had air horns, they would have knew.
a family of 6 swept away. 5 are still missing. One family member found alive clinging to a tree more than 15 miles from where they were swept away. Devin Smith, 22 years old, they believe she passed through 3 dams. She witnessed RVs being carried down the river beside her. Carl Jeter spotting her from inside his home and calling first responders.
Help is coming!
Tonight, that survivor's uncle, Travis Reynolds, meeting the homeowner who spotted her in the tree, hugging him, thanking him, grateful.
It means a lot.
Carl showing us the tree she held onto for 6 hours. And this evening, her uncle Travis telling us she is in the hospital, but will be okay. But she also knows 5 members of her family are still missing.
And that family stepped in to make sure that she was safe.
And tonight here, the loved ones who did not survive. Dr. Catherine Eads died after her RV was swept up. She was camping with her husband, Brian, and they were separated by the flood. He survived, but he could not find her. Her family sharing she was a psychologist and college professor, calling her an incredible wife, daughter, mother, grandmother, and a person who spent her life helping kids. 27-year-old Julian Ryan and his family waking up to floodwaters in their home in Ingram. Within moments, the water to their waists. Along with his mother and fiancée, Christina, Julian working quickly to save their young sons, smashing through the window with his hand, sustaining severe injuries as he tried to help his family escape. He lost so much blood, he knew. His last words to his fiancée, Christina, "I love you. I'm so sorry." Tonight, his sister wants us to know that Julian died a hero. Jane Ragsdale was the beloved director of the Heart of the Hills Camp for Girls. Tonight, the camp saying Jane embodied the spirit of the camp and was exactly the type of strong, joyful woman that the camp aimed to develop. And tonight, that Coast Guard rescue swimmer who told me he will never forget those young faces, the children he helped save, and their bravery.
Brand new rescue swimmer in the last year. But again, any of the rescue swimmers would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm sure those parents thank you too.
yeah, I'm glad their kids were tough.
Yeah.
So, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for what you did.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
We told him so many of those parents must be grateful to him and all of the first responders. They have been just incredible here in Texas.
The news tonight out of Texas, it's just a gut punch. That's the only way you can say it. 95 people have been killed. 95 people, a lot of them kids, in that horrific flooding in Texas. It's the kind of news that makes your stomach hurt, that grips your heart when you think about the children, the parents, the daughters and the sons swept away when the Guadalupe River surged 26 feet in about an hour 4 nights ago. You can see just how quickly the water rises in this time lapse here. And more rain is on the way, making it hard for the hundreds of rescuers who have descended on this area. It's a popular spot for people looking to have a good time on a holiday weekend. You want to go camping, fishing, etc. But then this happened. Imagine that, but in the dark of night. Dozens of people are believed to be missing right now. You're seeing some of them here, including 10 little girls and a camp counselor who were at Camp Mystic, according to officials. That camp is now grieving the loss of 27 people in all. including its owner, who died trying to save some of the girls. Also among the victims there, Renee, Eloise, and Lila, who all shared a cabin together. Other victims include people like Tanya Berwick, who was on her way to work as she frantically called her family to tell them about the flooding. They say that's the last time they heard from her. Julian Ryan's fiance says he slashed his arm open, punching out a window to help save his family as the water was rising. They made it out, but he did not. Those are the stories of some of these people, some of these victims. And everybody here, everybody who died, they all have a story cut short by the deadliest flood in this country in decades. One of the deadliest natural disasters, period. More people killed than Hurricane Sandy or the Paradise Camp Fire. The scale is catastrophic. And tonight we're also hearing more about the stunning stories of survival. Like this woman, you see her clinging to a tree there. She was swept miles down the river. Here's the moment she was rescued.
No problem.
You can hear applause from people watching. Two brothers also made it out of this camp, which eventually got washed away by floodwaters. We're going to show it to you here. Here's how they said those scary moments unfolded.
When we woke up, we had to just jump out of the window as fast as we could. And by the time we jumped out, the water outside the cabin was about up to my waist. And then we had to basically get to the hill as fast as we could.
They ran as fast as they could to higher ground. Another survivor who swam to safety is going to join us in just a couple of minutes. But I want to start with team coverage on our Aaron Gilchrist, who is in Kerrville. Aaron, here we are. It is Monday night now. There is still hundreds of...
Sorry to say, but he's not been respectful while covering this, unfortunately. A Texas mess. Let me show you how disrespectful I can be. Bam! You the fuck up out of here. How about that? You don't like it, why you here? Gone. All right. See, you wouldn't want to be you. Oh, Lord. Some people and the crazy stuff they say. Too bad you had to go there. You know, and you had Texas in your name, and I got to be mean to you because you say something crazy. But listen, people just harbor hate in their heart or whatever it may be. You know, it is what it is. So I hate to be mean to people. It's not in me to be mean to people or block people. But don't forget, when you say something slick, I do have a block button. Okay? All I've said is to pray for these people, that it's horrible, that there should be better systems in place. So I've been nothing but respectful. So that was disrespectful of you to say that about me. Okay, so now you got to go. See you later. Okay. All right. Well, let's get rid of you too. Okay. Anybody else want to go? Anybody else? Well, I got my hand on the button, right? Anybody else? Speak now, forever hold your peace, right? So I can get you up out of here. You don't have to be here. I didn't twist anybody's arms to make you watch this. You chose to come in here, and if you choose to come into my room, be respectful or get the hell out. Okay? There are so many evil people in this world. I agree. You know, there's just hateful people in this world. Instead of being loving and caring, they're pissed off because they hate themselves. Right? If you don't like yourself, you first work on yourself. Okay?
Rescuers out there looking for any sign of life. Can you give us an update on how?
Yeah, they got razzle dazzled, but you know it happens. Thank you, Dolly. This is some of the best coverage in chat, and I am in Texas. Thank you for being here with us.
Dolly, you have been so respectful.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, listen, you know me. I'm a family guy. I got a kid. I wouldn't want nothing to happen to my child. I don't want to see nothing happen to any children out there or the adults, right? But it's worse because it involves so many children, which makes this so much worse. So, who cares what those people say? Like I said, I may not be for everybody. Okay, you may not even like my ugly ass face, and that's perfectly fine. There's a million places to watch stuff. Go there, right? If you don't like it here, go there. You don't have to be a shitty person to me, okay?
How things are looking on the ground.
I would say those rescuers really are resolute right now. There is still so much work left for them to do. The amount of debris and destruction that we've been able to see here, this tree obviously cut off here. We don't know where the other part of this tree is. We found this piece of metal, maybe a piece of a shed wrapped around that tree. You look off in the distance and all you see over and over again in this park, it was a lush park, trees that have been knocked over. The bark has been stripped off. You see off in the distance those crews on the bridge with the heavy equipment doing some of the removal work. Well, they've been there all day long, hours and hours on end, and that is the reality.
Them are probably the same people that be crying, defund the police. Okay, let's defund stuff. So, you know, same people.
Up and down the Guadalupe River tonight, there are teams of people who've been working to clear debris, teams of people who've been working to search for the people who are still missing, even though here in Kerr County, they don't have a hard number on how many people are missing. You alluded to the fact that the death toll has risen. We know here in Kerr County, they've recovered 75 bodies. In other counties around the area, in total 6 of them where they've been able to get some numbers of people who are deceased at this point, that number reaching 95 this evening.
Right now, the death toll is at 104. We still have 10 kids missing. And there's families destroyed. There's absolutely families destroyed. And we don't really even know how many's missing because some people came here on vacation and now, you know, are missing. So this death toll is probably going to rise even more as time continues. And it's sad because most of the people that were in trees and clinging on to things, they've already been rescued. Over 850 rescues to be exact. And a lot of these RV parks that were swept away. It's just, you know, the people had no warning. No warning. And if anything, if you come in here, learn from this, just like I have, that take these flash floods seriously, right? Because I see them and I'm honest. I didn't pay them much attention before this. I didn't know that, you know, this shit could happen. Not at this level, but
God don't like Cooley. Bless these families and victims. Prayers to all of them for peace and healing. Bless you, Dolly, for covering and being so respectful.
yeah. I mean, I don't get where people were saying I didn't cover it respectfully. This was almost a sermon tonight of just praying and being sad and upset for people. Like I'm from America. Y'all hear it all the time. I believe we're all one. Like, you heard people coming here and talking about Texas sucks. And listen, I don't live in Texas, but I don't think Texas sucks. I think America's great. Right? These are my brothers and sisters. These are our fellow Americans. Right? We ain't in 50 different countries. We're in one country. This is our home. Right? These are people's loved ones from all over the country that were there. These kids were from all over the place. So right now, these people need prayer. They don't need people bitching and moaning. It's oh my God.
Are people here who are hopeful that survivors may still be found because those teams are still out on the water, still out in the riverbanks, in the debris fields, trying to find people. But people are also grappling with the reality of the fact that this was such a catastrophic flooding event on Friday morning, combined with the fact that it has now been 4 days since that happened. I want you to hear from a couple that we spoke to a little bit earlier today. They were here in the park that they normally visit, where they said they would typically find really nice canopies, tree canopies, that they could walk through during the day. And instead today they found this, but they're also thinking about the people who are impacted by this flood. Listen.
Because you know what happened, and the people who are suffering because of it. It's just such a tragedy, and it's still not over.
And so over and over again, as we've talked to people who've been here, as other members of our team, Hallie, have talked to people around this region, not just here in Kerr County, they are really saddened, obviously, by what happened here, but they are heartened, I think, by the fact that people have stepped up and shown their love and support for the first responders who are doing the work and for those families that are devastated by the losses they've had to endure.
You know, I'm struck by what Kathleen, the woman you just interviewed, said, which is that it is still not over, because she's right. It is so far from over, Aaron. There is one factor. I don't see it raining behind you. The concern, right, had been that if there was more rain, we knew that thunderstorms were sweeping in. That was going to make things even more difficult. It raises the risk of the potential for more flash flooding. Where do things stand on that front tonight?
There is still a flood watch in effect for portions of the south central Texas area. There have been rain showers. We've seen flash flood warnings and watches north of where we are in Kerrville. So there are places where they have seen rain today. Fortunately here, that has not been the case, and that has helped with some of the effort to get through some of the debris fields that are along the river, along this stretch of the river, in and around Kerrville. But there is still, as we said, a lot of work to be done. The part of the effort that we're hearing right now is trying to figure out how this happens, how so many people were not able to get away from those rising floodwaters. We know the National Weather Service has said that it put out alerts. It put out alerts, it put out outlooks, it put out advisories, warnings, watches, all the different things that we would get from the National Weather Service and other agencies that are connected to the Weather Service throughout the day on Thursday into the nighttime hours. That first big warning came at about 1 o'clock in the morning on Friday. That was that first flood warning that went out that would have caused people's cell phones to really blare, that loud sound that you hear. Maybe if you hear an Amber Alert, that's what people would have heard around that time if their phones were operational. Folks who were staying along the river in areas perhaps where they didn't have good cell phone service, or people maybe would have turned off that feature on their cell phones. They may not have gotten those alerts on their phones. But those are all things, Hallie, that I think are going to be a part of the after action on this. People trying to review what happened here, what worked, what didn't work, what needs to be done better next time to save more lives.
What do they?
My thing is this: they should have done that when the 10 kids died last time from the floods. You know, 10 lives is a lot of people, right? One life is one life too many. To be like, well, that we talked about putting up air horns, but we didn't have the funding for it. I think that's the most important thing to put your funds towards, is saving people's lives, right? Like, everything else, you know, take a pay cut, save some lives. To me, you know, they dropped the ball a little bit, and it's terrible because this happens a lot around our country. I'm not just blaming stuff on Texas. I'm just blaming government in general. They wait till something bad happens, and then they try to fix it, right? I think we should do these things before bad things happen. When you know there's a possibility that something terrible can happen, you do everything you can to avoid that. And knowing that these kids are on the river, like, okay, so we don't have air horns for everywhere, but why didn't where we keep all these 800 kids near the river, why wasn't that safely protected, right? I can understand you don't have finances to put air horns everywhere, right? You can't put them all up and down the river. We don't have the funds for that. I get that. But why not in the most important parts that you know that kids are staying at large amounts at campgrounds, these summer camps, that they're not better protected? It's just sad that such a big tragedy had to happen for them to go, okay, well, we're gonna put air horns there now. We're gonna vote on it, and we're gonna do what we got to do to, you know, that's great moving forward, right? That is, it's good. It's awesome that they're going to do that, but shouldn't this already have been done, at least in certain locations, right? And if you know you got 800 kids out there, why not send out the paramedics, your first responders? It's It's just wild to see. I mean, I think our most important thing is to protect the children at least. You know, I can understand a little delay on the adults because usually adults can defend for themselves a little bit better than 6 to 8 year old kids. I just think a better job could have been done. You know, we can't change what happened. You know, we can't change what happened. It is what it is, but wow, just wow, you know. And then the warnings that went out, they didn't even tell the people to evacuate. That just blows my mind. They just, oh, flash flood, you know. These people should have been told to evacuate, get to high ground at 1 o'clock in the morning when it first started. Would that have saved some lives? It's hard to tell because what's done is done. We can't go back in time. We don't got a DeLorean, right? We just have to definitely from this point, do better, right? Do a better job. For all the people out there, though, that were out there saving lives and putting their lives at risk, just heroes, complete heroes and angels. There's still good people in this world, and the people that in the community that were helping other people in the community, just awesome job from the Texans. Okay. God, I just wish so many lives hadn't have been lost.
Still need there, Aaron. We've seen a lot of calls for donations. We've also seen some of the emergency response officials saying, hey, volunteers can't just be showing up. Like at this point, it is a highly coordinated local, state, and federal response here, a massive, massive operation.
You're absolutely right. We know that obviously the state and the localities have deployed their professional teams of searchers into the field here to try to do the work that needs to be done. At the same time, we've heard Louisiana, for example, Virginia, for example, sending swiftwater rescue and urban search and rescue teams in to help with the effort, as there's a need for a rotation once you get into days and days of search efforts like this. There are people, obviously, as you said, who are volunteering as well. They've been asked to reach out to the local emergency managers, to the Salvation Army that's helping with some of the coordination so that they can be put out in teams of people in ways that are safe. This is still a dangerous area, obviously, with so much debris and wanting to make sure that when people go into certain areas, they're doing it as safely as possible, Hallie.
Aaron Gilchrist, live for us there in Kerrville. Aaron, thank you so much. You have heard by now of Camp Mystic. That is one of those camps along the banks of the Guadalupe River that was just...
You know, the later it gets, the more trolls tend to come out, okay? Trolls, I guess you're sitting in your mama's basement eating cookies and y'all ain't got nothing better to say, okay? There's some trolls out tonight. Matter of fact, let me do one quick thing. I want to take the chat off my screen to where it don't pop up on my screen anymore. Where's the chat box? Right here. It ain't but one button I got to push. All right, that takes that off my screen, and I'll just pull up the important stuff like in the super chats and stuff like that, because I don't want these trolls messages running across the bottom of my screen down here. So it's only one button to take them off. Just click a button, boom, and that all stops. You know, with people saying hateful things, I don't want it popping up on my screen whatsoever. You know, save your money, get out of your mom's basement. Okay, you're not making anything any better here. It's on subs only, but I only have it set on a minute. Okay, because new people want to come in and talk about this stuff. I want to give them the opportunity where they don't have to wait 10 days to talk in my chat. When you come in here and you're trolling, we're just going to get rid of you. We have zero tolerance for it. So I don't want to keep other people out that do want to discuss what's going on in Texas or people from Texas. But when people come in and just being hateful and I ain't never seen them in the chat, you got to go. Okay? Peace, deuces. You don't got to be here. Like, I didn't go to your house and knock on your mama's basement and be like, hey, will you watch my channel? Hell no. Okay. So once you act crazy, we just get you up out of here quick as I can. Don't act like I don't have a block button myself. I just never click it. I usually got my mods for that. But later it gets, I just clip you myself. Okay. It ain't but one button click. I got to keep my click finger strong anyway. I haven't used it in a while. Let me stretch them. So if I got to get rid of you tonight, 3 o'clock in the morning, people are like, yeah, I'm going to say something crazy.
Whose house do I have to come to?
There you go. And see, I'll pull those up like that anyway. That way people's hatefulness ain't rolling across the bottom of my screen. All right. Let's jump back to what we were watching. And just a little bit, I'm going to get into the Jack and Lilly stuff.
Devastated. Some of it washed away entirely when the river crested its banks so intensely. It's nearly 100 years old. It's a staple in the state of Texas and beyond, with literally generations of girls, multiple generations, sometimes from the same family, spending summers there, experiencing the same thing that their mothers, that their grandmothers did. It is a place that is now in the midst of horrific grief and trauma, with 27 people from that camp, according to Camp Mystic, believed to be dead. NBC's Priscilla Thompson.
That's so sad.
Torn up bunks, scattered stuffed animals.
You know, dealing with adults is one thing. Like, I was always going to be a volunteer EMT here, because you can volunteer here in Virginia Beach. And the reason I didn't do it, right, because I really enjoy helping people, and I wanted to do it, is because I can't deal with kids, hurt kids. I just can't do it. If you're an adult and you got your head split open or you're missing an arm, I could help you, right? I could stay calm. I could help you. I couldn't with a little kid. I would get too emotional. I would go into panic mode. It's just, I couldn't deal with a hurt child. That's why I haven't volunteered as an EMT. PJ worked for years doing that. And we have a lot of those same things in common, that we want to do good and help people. And she can do it. Like, she can help little kids. I know I can't. I can't do it. Right now, if all calls were adults, I would be able to do it. But as soon as a little kid would get hurt, I'd freak out. Right? Some people, it takes a special type of person to be able to help hurt kids and keep calm and patient and things like that. I just know I can't do it.
Muddy clothes and towels. The harrowing images showing how deadly floods in Texas turned the magic of summer camp into a heartbreaking tragedy. This photo showing a broken Camp Mystic sign at the entrance to a building that no longer exists. Videos giving a glimpse of the evacuations, where rescuers helped save more than 700 children caught in the storm.
They didn't really have time to grab any shoes. Some of them were wearing one Croc, maybe none. So just being as kind as I could, just carrying them over to the Blackhawks, 2 in an arm or something, like whatever it was to get them to safety.
Mystic says it's now grieving the loss of 27 campers and counselors, like 9-year-old Jamie Hunt, a first-time camper, and 18-year-old camp counselor Chloe Childress, who was described as wise beyond her years. The camp's director, Dick Eastland, died trying to save his campers. His grandson saying in a social media post, if he wasn't going to die of natural causes, this was the only other way, saving the girls that he so loved and cared for. Those sentiments echoed by today's show's Jenna Bush Hager.
That family, the Eastland family, is Texas royalty. They raised so many girls. So many of my friends said he was their summer father. He looked out for his campers. He raised girls to be brave.
Her mother and former First Lady Laura Bush also once worked as a drama counselor at Mystic, the Christian camp.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's been around for a while.
Was a summer home for girls in many prominent families, like former President Lyndon B. Johnson. And at least 2 congressmen also had family evacuated from the camp over the weekend. Deep in the heart of Texas. Some of Camp Mystic traditions go back almost 100 years.
Nothing has changed. Like, the Eastlands have done everything they can to keep it
looking the same between 1926 and when we were growing up there in the 2000s.
The camp has faced adversity before, transforming into an Army rehab and recovery center during World War II. But for most of its history, a treasured haven for young girls.
It's just us together in nature and playing basketball and riding horses and doing dances together and just honestly being little girls all together.
Those camp activities now feel like a distant memory to traumatized survivors.
It didn't look like Camp Mystic anymore.
13-year-old Stella Thompson was beginning her 6th summer at the camp when the storms broke out.
How horrible it is to see it like this, because that's not Camp Mystic.
The camp saying in a statement on its website, "Our hearts are broken alongside our families that are enduring this unimaginable tragedy. We are praying for them constantly." Those prayers resounding across the nation, with the county sheriff saying the search continues for 10 campers and a counselor still missing, while a community tries to piece itself back together. Priscilla Thompson, NBC News.
I want to bring in Bill Cairns now. You look at something like that and you have such a heavy heart. And it's worth noting, too, it's not just this camp, the other camps along the river. This was a recreational spot, Bill, right? I mean, it's a holiday weekend. You got people camping in RVs. You have people out there spending the night for a couple of nights with their families in cabins, separate from these camps, adults, other families, et cetera. I know that one of the things you've been looking into, because, this is an area that's prone to flooding, although this is incredibly, extraordinarily
87,
rare.
95.
That's exactly right. The comms piece of it, when you're out there, when you're out camping, right? If you're in an RV, help us understand some of that, because I know this is something that you've been digging into.
Yeah, and I'm a science communicator. I mean, my job, is to alert people of what's happening and try to save as many lives or property or give you information. And that's what all meteorologists are doing. And that's what all emergency managers are always doing. We're trying to give you the best information possible. So we know that the information came out. At 1 a.m. in the morning, a flood warning was given to anywhere on the Guadalupe River, including Camp Mystic, which you just saw there. I went today and I dug into the FEMA flood maps. If you live near a river or you're in the FEMA flood zone, you know it, you pay extra insurance. It's not a surprise. About 75% approximately of Camp Mystic is in the flood FEMA map zone. So they know that they were in the flood zone. So at 1 a.m. in the morning, when that flood warning went out, and they have bunks along the river or not far from it that are in the flood zone, those kids should have been taken out of those bunks and brought to a higher ground, which is where they do have some cabins. That's where people were rescued. The water did not swallow the entire camp. But for some reason, the failure of communication to get that warning at 1 a.m. in the morning to move those kids to safety did not happen. And I'm sure that we're going to find those answers out. And I'm sure those parents, after they get done with this horrific grieving process, are going to want to know why did the camp not get that messaging? Somehow was the cell service? Did they not have good cell service? If they didn't have the good cell service, the NOAA weather radios, did they have those? Because those are like fire alarms in your house, and those would wake you up, and then you'd know to go tell everyone, get to higher ground. So that was at 1 a.m. And then if for some reason that didn't happen, at 4:45 a.m., that's when the flood emergency was issued, and that alarm also should have went off, Hallie. So I think that's the biggest question. For all those people in the RVs, the tents, all the adults, everyone else, they're kind of on their own. It's their responsibility to get the alerts either from a weather radio or on their phones. If they don't have cell service, then they have to have a weather radio. But for the parents that drop their kids off, who's the responsibility of the camp, it's their responsibility to get those kids to safety in those situations. And obviously that didn't happen.
As we're looking at the massive operation there that we were talking about with Aaron a couple of minutes ago, are they out of the woods as it relates to more rain in the forecast, Bill? Like, in other words, are they going to be able to continue this recovery operation in effect without the risk of more, water coming down?
Yeah, the flood watch went up today, and the Weather Prediction Service actually put him in a moderate risk of flash flooding, which got everyone's attention, which was like, oh, here we go again. And there was about 4 to 6 inches of rain earlier today, just outside of Killeen, Texas. These thunderstorms have been propagating and weakening.
So storms could still be coming that way. So, these certain areas, they should have certain things. See, I learned something today. My home, right? Because for anybody that's been watching me for a minute, not to change the subject, I built this tiki bar, right? So the city got on to me about building a tiki bar. All right. So today I went and got my buildings permit for the tiki bar. All right. But here's the thing. I go into to get the permit, and they said, we can't issue you the permit. You need to check with Chesapeake Bay Preservation because your home sits on the Chesapeake Bay Preservation. And I was like, what? They were like, yeah, anything you build on your property, you got to have permission from the Chesapeake Bay Preservation. And I was like, I've never heard of nothing like this, right? I was like, I own the property. Why do I got to ask somebody else what I can do with my property? And they were like, you hate yeah. They were like, well, yeah, before we can issue the permit, you have to check with the Chesapeake Bay Preservation. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I go to the office of the Chesapeake Bay Preservation, and they're all in a meeting. Okay, that sucked, right? They were like, they're going to be in a meeting for about 30, 45 minutes, but we could have somebody with the preservation meet with you, you know? And I was like, okay, what do you say, right? Because they wouldn't issue me a builder's permit, because anything I build on my property, I got to have permission from the preservation. And I was just like, this is, so you can tell me what I can and can't do on something I own. They have that gray bar. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe but they own the area that completely surrounds my house. They surround my house. They own everything directly around my house. So they've got me boxed in. Okay. So I go meet with them, and they're like, yeah, we'll let you build a tiki bar. What? What? Like I had to get permission from these people to build something that I've already built on my own property. I didn't know it. I live on the Chesapeake Bay Preservation. I've lived here most of my life, and I never knew that. All right. And then we had to go over property lines and things like this in it, right? Because you can only build so close to their property and things like that. And I was just like, this is all brand new to me. I ain't never heard nothing like that. All I know is I own this shit, and I got to ask other people permission what I can and can't do with my property. That's just, I'm going to put up some air horns. Okay. I'm going to put up some air horns, and I'm going to go ask the preservation and be like, it could flood. Okay. It could flood. Like, what the hell is going on here? Like, so sometimes, like, even if you wanted to do something yourself, maybe this has to, you know, I'm going into what's going on in Texas. Maybe they need permission, especially when if any of these parks are considered on reserves or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Or protected areas. I guess that's this area that I'm in is a protected area. I mean, I just want a tiki bar. You know what I'm saying? That's it. It's already built. I just need the permit so I don't get fined a bunch of money. Yeah, I learned that today, that I live on the Chesapeake Bay Preservation. All right, let's get back on point.
Kerrville here, and then the Guadalupe River travels this direction. All the storms have missed that. It has not impacted at all. The flood watch does wrap up at about 7 p.m. today, and the forecast for the rest of the week is totally clear. But we do still have some flash flood warnings where these storms were north of Rock Springs, south of San Angelo. I haven't heard anything horrific out of these, Hallie. These will be over with shortly, give it another probably 30 minutes or so.
No, Virginia law is this, guys. Any structure, if you erect any structure, right, you have to have a permit. If your structure is under 8 foot tall, it can be 3 foot from the property line. It has to be 6 foot from the house, 6 foot from the property line. If it's under 8 foot, you can be 3 foot from the property line. If it's under 8 foot tall. If it's over 8 foot tall, you have to be 6 foot from the property line. Because I met with planning, development, the city building permit people today. I met with the Chesapeake Bay preservation people. I sat at the city all morning today over that little tiny tiki bar that I built. And I just know that it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
Bill Cairns, thank you very much. First responders say they're not giving up hope, not yet, with this huge operation, this massive search happening now into the night for anybody who may still, after 4 days, be alive. Realistically, they know, they've indicated that hope may be fading here, but they are working round the clock after one of the deadliest floods the country has seen in decades. I want to bring in somebody who experienced this for herself. Riata Chef was staying at a nearby hotel right along the banks of the Guadalupe. She's joining us now. Riata, thank you so much for being with us. First of all, we are so glad that you are okay. Can you tell us a little bit in your own words what happened early Friday morning?
So Friday morning, our whole facility we were staying at got knocks on their door, just telling everybody to get out. There was no rain until a little after 12 that night. We had just been hanging out. I mean, the kids were swimming and everything like that. And that morning around 2:33, everybody was leaving. Like, we walked outside and the water was up to the bottom floor doors. And it was insane. It just came out of nowhere. And just, we all started running to our cars. Everybody was trying to leave. And the only two exits are through low water crossings and by bridge. And just, we were all at a standstill on the road, and everybody's trying to go the same place and nobody can go anywhere because both exits are blocked. We had just been sitting in the car, and then you start seeing all the water rising slowly, like, and then it started getting faster and faster until it was up at our cars. And you just see people fleeing their cars and walking down the road. And then you're like, oh, like, I guess we better do that too, because at this point, there's nowhere else for us to go. And we just started walking down the street. And as you're walking, you're just getting the water rising higher and higher. And you looking somewhere for higher to go. I mean, all the houses there are one story, and there was only a few that were 2-story that we could see. And the one house that we did find, there were people in the 2nd story with flashlights on. And as we were walking by, once the water was up close to our chest, they were screaming for us to come up because the current was just pulling more and more people in. They let down sheets for us, and we started climbing up, pulling people and tons of dogs. We had a great community there to help us, and there were some very significant people that got us through that time.
So that I understand, Riata, you're saying that you said water up to your chest. So you're sort of walking or swimming or struggling through this, and somebody throws down sheets from a 2nd-story window that you're then, with all these people, that you're climbing up?
Yes. So there were definitely more than, at the end point, more than 45, 50 people in one, like, area on that 2nd floor. People needed somewhere to go, and they threw down a sheet for us, and 2 men that are really great in my life, just pushing people up and going out and getting them. And just everybody was looking for somewhere to go. Nobody had any service. Nobody had anything.
Okay. Right there. Surprised they didn't make you do plans. Well, the city does. So, but they let you draw out the plans right there in the city office. So you draw it out where you want to put everything, and then you give that to them. They go ahead and put it into the system. Then you got to go over to planning and development and get them to approve the plan. Okay. And then you go back to the building permit people, and then they give you the building permit. It's like you just jumping around the building. It was just a big hassle and I had to pay them the money. The building permit wasn't that expensive. It was like $100, but it's the hassle of having to go here, get these permission from these people, to planning, to zoning, to all that. to build a little tiny tiki bar in your backyard. I just thought it was stupid. And listen, like these people that were on the second floor, thank God somebody threw her a sheet, and or she may not be here today.
Did everybody, all the people you were with from the hotel, all the people that evacuated the hotel, did they all make it to higher ground safely, to your knowledge?
There were a few people that did not make it. Thankfully, nobody in my group, they all made it.
Well, they told me, here's one thing they said, then your property taxes go up. No, they actually told me if I do away with the property lines, because I own 3 lots, but I use it as my yard. If I make it one big plot, right, which I need a lawyer to write them the paperwork, that's where it gets tricky. Then my taxes would actually go down because it would be one big piece of property instead of multiple pieces of property. So I'm being taxed for multiple pieces of property instead of one big piece of property. So they said, if you're not going to build a house, you might as well do away with the property lines, because if you do away with the property lines, instead of getting 2 tax bills, you'll only get 1 tax bill. So I do need to clear that up, right? Because then it's just my yard anyway. I don't use the property for another house. It needs to be one big piece of property, and then it'll save me on my taxes.
But at River End, there were a few families that did not make it out. Some tried going over that bridge and unfortunately did not. And just some people never got the knock on the door loud enough or noticed in time.
Ugh. What time did that not come, Riata? Were you sleeping when it happened? Were you still awake with your family?
Yes,
and your?
Yeah. So everybody was asleep. I mean, we all went to bed. We were only there for like a few hours and stuff and just hanging out. But it was definitely around like 2:33. So everybody that I knew was asleep. There were a few that had already been awake because the storm was so bad. The lightning and thunder was insanely loud. It was nothing like I've experienced here.
Your dad posted online that he was getting a couple of messages from you. Like literally as this was happening, it sounds like you're like, I'm swimming through water. Were you on your phone? Was somebody sending that message for you? How did you manage to communicate in this moment of crisis?
So I had originally sent the message to them around like 4 or 5 a.m., but the message never went through till around 8 a.m. that morning. And I know everybody's celebrating 4th of July, but thankfully the satellite option on your phone now, the message cleared through that. But this is a place where people go to get away and has no service. So everybody there was extremely difficult to reach anything.
Yeah. I wonder, Riata, what your message is. There's so many people around the country and around the world, candidly, who are looking at Kerrville, looking at Texas, praying for the state. They're sending their thoughts there. What is your message to them, to the people who have watched this catastrophe unfold, as somebody who lived through it?
It's definitely like, don't take your life for granted. So many people had it worse. Like, we had probably the best situation and best people around us. So many families, like, walking through that town, lost everything, and it's unimaginable for them. Like, it's hard to know exactly like what to do, but anything by just donating, and if you're able to, I know I'm going to help clean up that area, like helping those families, like donating money, anything like you can. I promise you it'll help in any way.
Yeah. Riata Shuff, 19 years old, survivor of that Texas flooding. Thank you so much for being with us and for sharing your story. I can't imagine how traumatic that was for you, and so many people are glad that you are doing okay tonight. Thank you for being with us.
Yes, ma'am.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top.
Okay. So let's jump back over here. So prayers for the people in Texas. Okay, now that took me a little longer than I thought it was going over that stuff in Texas, because I wanted to get to, the Jack and Lilly Sullivan stuff. So we're going to switch gears. Whoop, pump brakes. For you guys that are tuning in that may not know about this situation, we had 2 kids go missing out of Nova Scotia 2 months ago under strange circumstances. All right. Because some of y'all may have just come in to listen to the stuff about the flood and may not understand who little Jack and Lilly are. They are in this little thumbnail picture over there in the corner. There are 2 kids that were with their parents in Nova Scotia, Canada. And the parents wake up and the kids are magically gone, just vanish. No storm, no flood water, no nothing. Okay. They were supposed to be in the house, and when the parents woke up, they were gone. Now, there's strange circumstances surrounding this. The mother got up at 6 a.m. and wrote to school and said, hey, the kids are not going to be there. So she made sure that the kids were, she notified the school that the kids were going to be absent that day. But she never got up to check on the kids. Okay. She never got up to cook them breakfast, to check on the youngest one to see if he needed his pull-up changed, any of those things. All right. So they say they wake up, they don't hear the kids, that the kids went out the sliding glass door. All right. That the sliding glass door didn't make a lot of noise, and they slipped out that door, shut the door behind them, and then they just vanished. So the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, did a thorough search of the woods surrounding their home in this rural area of Nova Scotia, Pictou County. So they searched miles and miles of these woods, and not a single trace of these kids. Now, they don't issue an Amber Alert because there seems to be no signs of abduction. It don't meet the criteria for an Amber Alert. So they don't issue no Amber Alert. They search the woods. They don't find any traces of these kids. Zero. Right? And the parents came out giving inconsistent statements. One time they said they woke up and they just noticed the kids were gone. The next time they told the story is the kids that came in the room multiple times that night, and they were in and out of consciousness. And then when they woke up from a little short nap, because they fell back asleep, that the kids were gone. And as soon as they didn't hear the kids, they went searching for them. So it was just inconsistencies. Now, since that happened, the mother packed her stuff up, Malaya Brooks, and left. Okay, she packed up her stuff. She left the house. She went to live with her mother. Daniel, the boyfriend, they were both on the same page in the beginning of this, right? They were telling the exact same story. It almost sounded scripted, that the kids were special needs, that they would talk to anybody. They would get in the car with anybody. And they were trying to make it sound like the kids had been abducted, right? Then the family, the boyfriend and girlfriend, well, common law husband and wife in Canada, they split ways. She goes to live with her mom. She stays here. And then they start pointing the fingers at each other, that Malaya knows what happened to the kids, and Malaya saying that Daniel knows what happens to the kids. So we got a family that's completely torn down the middle, blaming each other for who did what. Now, of course, we have people telling totally different stories now, that Malaya took the kids out early that morning to the end of the driveway and handed them off to somebody, and they have took the kids, and the kids are alive and well, being hid somewhere by one of Malaya's friends or family, which is totally different than what they told. Now, the mother of Daniel allegedly saying that she seen Malaya at the end of the driveway that morning. Some people say they seen the mother, Daniel's mother, with a shovel in the driveway, and she said she was filling in a pothole in the middle of the night. That sounds super, super bizarre, okay? So what we do know is these people have given conflicting stories over this amount of time. RCMP interviewed him, but it don't seem like they interviewed him for very long. Daniel himself said he was interviewed for 4 hours. Okay, 4 hours in America is not a long interview. Okay, that's a pretty short interview for American police, right? But Canada, 4 hours must be like 4 days. I don't know. So it don't seem like the police interrogated this family too much. The mother instantly leaves her kids, basically just Joe Dirts them, like I'm out later. And people say no mother whatsoever would just abandon or leave their kids. Well, she did. And not only that, but she has lawyered up. Okay, so she has a lawyer. And like I said, there's been a lot of infighting and people pushing narratives out there that these kids are still alive. Now, truly, if you ask me my opinion, I believe something horrible has happened to these kids. There's been allegations of drug use in the house that they call Daniel doing drugs coming from Malea's friend, stepsister, actually. But right now, that's just hearsay, right? That's what she alleges. And then, of course, there's the Daniel and Malaya have a baby named Meadow together, and Daniel wasn't allowed to see that child. And I believe that's because of this alleged drug use, and that's why he needs supervised visits with the children. So we got a house where parents are telling inconsistent statements about what happened to the kids. We know there was drug use in the house, and if we've learned one thing, is most drug addicts don't give two shits about kids. All they care about is getting high, right? So I truly believe these kids are not with us anymore, and they're continuing to push this. Is Durwood being quiet now? No, from my understanding, he's not. He's not being quiet. And he's still pushing a narrative for Daniel that these kids are alive and well out there somewhere. Listen, there's a $150,000 reward for these two kids out of Nova Scotia. If they were somewhere alive and well for $150,000, somebody would be talking, and they're not. So the problem with this is it took place in a rural area. There's no witnesses. The only people that know are family members, and usually family members lawyering up is a huge red flag. Yeah, usually family members may not tell on you for the money, right? Because your family loves you, they'll protect you, and something definitely is going on in this situation with these kids. Like I said, I truly believe they're not with us, and they're telling these stories to buy time to get the police off of them. Because if the police are out hunting for the kids, they're not focusing on Daniel and Malaya, which I believe they are. But at the same time, I believe the RCMP, right, have failed these children. They just waited so long to do certain things in the case that, they didn't bring in cadaver dogs right away. They didn't go looking for videos or trail cams or any of that right away. They waited so long. It's almost like they were behind a little bit on everything, right? And even with all these people telling inconsistent statements on the internet, we still don't have any arrests in this case or them dragging them back down there to talk. Now, I believe the RCMP is taking the things that Durwood says as a joke and not serious, right? For you don't know, Durwood is a third cousin of Malaya, but he's more friends with Daniel, and his son is definitely friends with Daniel. So they seem to be more on Daniel's side and pushing a narrative that Daniel's pushing. But we know Daniel lied in the beginning. He said it out of his own mouth through text messages and things like that the timeline was wrong, and now he switched his story up. Now, if you tell two different stories, that means one of those stories is a lie. Okay? They both can't be true, right? So if you lied once, what does that make you? That makes you a liar, especially in this situation. And why would you lie in the case of a missing child? You wouldn't. Normally, you wouldn't lie. The truth never changes, right? But these people's story are constantly changing or evolving, right? They're trying to say that these kids are on a reservation somewhere being hit out by the First Nation, which is horrible because they're putting the blame on people that's had it rough enough, right? We know just here alone, our Native Americans in this country have had it bad. Even in Canada, the natives there, the First Nation, has had it bad. So to put some blame on these people when really the culprits are the ones that were responsible for these kids, the mom and the stepdad, it's just shame on you guys for doing that. That is absolutely horrible. So a lot of finger pointing, but no arrests being made. And one thing we do know is that kids don't just vanish. So there's been a few channels that are covering it real heavily, and far as all the information on a daily basis. And the girl from Crime and Shame, Sunny, I'm going to have her up here, and me and her are going to be going over every single detail in the case. Okay, we'll probably do that either Thursday or Friday, right? Evening time, probably prime time, so everybody can watch it with us. And just every little clue, everything that was said. And of course, she's in contact with some of the family, so we're going to cover that. And so make sure you guys tune in for that show. It's going to be me and Sunny. And I don't know if Charmaine, her other person that streams with her, will be with her, but we're definitely going to be going over all the details in the case, what's been said, what clues are out there, what inconsistencies are out there. And a lot of people are starting to believe the same thing. A lot of people believe these kids were alive. Now more people are leaning towards these kids are not. Okay, especially when they found out about the drug use, right? And that Daniel's been lying. But a lot of people seem to believe that the kids are hid. But there's no reason to hide the kids. Right? A lot of people say, oh, she hid the kids from Daniel, but they're not his kids. She's left one man before and never hid the kids. So why would she hide the kids? Right. Now, a lot of people believe the kids may have gotten into some drugs. Okay. Or rugs. You know what I'm saying? But the kids are gone. And the people that are responsible that should be in jail right now for child neglect are not. Okay. The phone lines have been open. They've been open the whole time. So they should be in jail for neglect, but they're not. If anything, they should have been in jail for neglect, lying to the police, right? And I truly believe they're building a case against them, or they've dropped the ball completely and there's going to be no arrest for these kids. And these people have got away with whatever they've done with Jack and Lilly, which is a horrible situation. Like, we need justice for these kids. Definitely. And right now, we just don't see that in the future, right? Like I'm hoping, but we do know that the RCMP are still investigating. But right now, I don't think they really have anything. If they did, they wouldn't have put out that reward for the public of $150,000 to lead them to Jack and Lilly. Or unless they're hoping somebody tells on Malaya and Daniel. But it seems like they don't have enough to make an arrest, and they don't want to arrest him for child neglect or lying to authorities. And I don't understand why, because it's clear as day that they're lying to authorities. Let's see. I'm just kind of catching up on the chat a little bit. No proof of life, but there's no proof of death either. There's no signs of foul play. But like I said, no signs of life, no signs of that they're dead. There's just nothing. And we know this. Dingoes didn't get the babies. Aliens didn't get the babies. Kids don't just vanish. And I don't believe they're in the woods. And the police don't believe they've been abducted. That only leaves two people. And that is the mom and dad, Malaya and Daniel. And at that time, it's alleged that the brother could have been there and the mother of Daniel. So between me and just my opinion is one of them know what happened. Dolly.
Hey, Dolly, it's Army Mom.
Hey, Army Mom.
You were talking about no proof of life and no proof of death, but they did have proof of neglect. Can they not get them for that?
That's what I said, that they were neglectful, not checking on their kids is the definition of neglect. They left them to, unattended. It's neglect. Yeah. I would think they have that. Why not arrest them with it? In the beginning, I thought, well, they didn't arrest Malaya because if they arrest her for neglect, all she's going to do is get a lawyer and not talk. But she already has a lawyer and not talking. Why not arrest her now?
Yeah, she hadn't said much of anything.
And I mean, day one, they had them pulled the chief from the reservation. They already started lining up the lawyer. Her mama was there almost as fast as the police. There's a lot to this that point to huge red flags and not to nobody else, and that I believe myself that one of those four people hold the answers.
Oh, yeah.
If not all of them. Yeah. If not all of them.
And did you see where somebody said today on that four-wheeler there was a shovel or something on the back of it where Daniel was supposed to be doing some fencing or something? It was real muddy and real dirty, something about a shovel.
Yeah, and when they said that blanket was found, that it was found next to an RV trail. I mean, to an ATV trail.
Huh.
So,
but that four-wheeler sure was clean to be doing any fencing.
I know. It seems like somebody washed that four-wheeler off. And you look at their cars are dirty, their house is dirty, their yard is dirty, they dirty, but yet the four-wheeler is clean as can be. There's so.
We were talking about her porch, how nice the mother's porch was.
Uh-huh.
I just wondered, did they just recently put that porch there?
Yeah, I mean, it ain't like a great porch, but I mean, it's new. They built a little box. You know what I'm saying?
They built it over top of something to cover something else, or maybe.
I mean, if you was gonna, let's just say, allegedly bury something, would you do it on your property, or would you take it away from your property and do it?
I'd take it away, but then again, some people aren't smart enough to.
Yeah, and I mean, I think so, but I think those people know those woods really good, better than the searchers because they've lived there and they've hid these kids somewhere out there.
Well, I sure hope they find them soon, and I sure hope they rescue some more of those people in Texas too. That's just terrible.
Yeah, and hopefully too. It don't look good for far as rescuing people in Texas. It looks like it's gonna be bad, but it never hurts to hope, And far as Jack and Lilly, we need an arrest on this. They need to put some pressure. The RCMP has got to be the softest police on the planet.
Yeah.
So on your mom.
All right, so you have a good rest of your night. Peace.
All right, peace. So yeah, these police in Canada, like the laws are soft, and the police, man, we got to get to some old waterboarding at this point. Dolly.
Hey. It's Sugar Magnolia.
Hey.
Actually, my
Sugar.
real name is Allie.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I didn't know your phone lines were open.
Yeah,
and so I was just going to mouth off a minute, and I'm normally not as ballsy as I am right now.
Okay.
But I don't like that reporter from Texas.
You don't like the reporter?
He's hateful. He's just not a good man,
Oh, which one? Are you talking about the guy with the big neck?
The black guy.
Oh, I don't know. There's so many different people reporting down there in Texas. I don't know.
Most of them might give a damn about, but when he started popping off, I was like, moving here to my neck of the woods. I'm in southern middle Tennessee, and we flood all the time,
Yeah.
And all my dogs are buried at the river, and I've got two buried out here in the garden, and I had 5. Now I'm down. I have rescue dogs. I know it's crazy.
You got dogs buried in the yard, is what you said?
Yeah, I've got 2 buried in the garden.
Oh, okay.
They loved it because I'll send you some pictures, you and PJ. But no, I mean, there's like probably 17, and somebody threw one out, and she's a pit boxer mix,
Uh-huh.
and nobody likes pity,
Uh-huh.
They always think they're mean, and they're not.
Yeah,
It depends
that's
on
how you raise a dog.
How do I raise a dog?
Yeah, I mean, it depends if they're mean or not. It depends on how you raise them. I used to have pit bulls, and they were nice as could be. Big old babies.
It depends on how you raise them.
Yeah.
I never had one before. She's like black and got a little stripe around her neck, but she's under my feet right now. Sleeps in the bed with me. I know that's crazy. But the fireworks are going off like a war zone around here, which is cool. I don't care. It'll go on till, like August and everything after. Like counting crows, that's my jam right now. And hang on a minute, I gotta not cry.
Okay,
I said I wouldn't cry today, Lord.
Don't cry, because you'll make me cry, and I don't want to be crying in the middle of the night.
Nah, ain't no sense in it. It's just my husband died on Father's Day.
Wow.
And then he always had a firework tent. And so until I get through my meltdown, I got to reset.
Okay.
Or I call y'all. Actually, I got a message from y'all. But I'm done.
Okay. Well.
As long I met somebody, which is weird. It's been 24 years since he died.
Wow.
And I thought, and he touched my hair, and I thought, damn. So I've gone through like 14 gallons of gelato and Milano cookies. And I thought, my teeth are going to rot the hell out. Which ain't like there's much. I've got epilepsy. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, definitely take care of him.
Really handsome and sweet.
Okay.
So pray for me.
I will. I got you in my prayers.
I hadn't had sex in 24 years.
Okay, too much info. TMI.
I know it's TMI.
TMI.
Anybody hear me but you?
Okay, well, look, I'm getting ready to get out of here. It is Dolly's bedtime. You be good. You stay safe.
I know it's mine too. Well, our electricity went out in the whole town.
Okay.
And I woke up and I was like, what time is it? Like, is it 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning? Because I turned up and cried. I don't do no lights and no sound. And here he came. And I was like, I'll be damned.
Okay. Well,
somebody.
I wish you nothing but luck. Good luck with your new relationship. You stay safe, and I'll talk to you next time.
All right, darling.
All right.
You call me whenever you want to.
All right.
I'll call you next time.
All right.
And if y'all ever need somewhere to stay, my phone's going wonky. The flashlight goes on and off, and my fastenese is scared to death of it. But I don't know why.
Okay.
You seen me trying to push her up here in the bed.
All right.
It's the first time.
All right. You be good. Peace.
All right. Love y'all.
Okay. That was a lot of information right there that I don't think we needed. Okay. I got to bed. Okay. I'm going to bed. Last call. We're going to keep it quick. Dolly.
Hi, Dolly.
Hey.
This is Susan from Maryland.
Hey, Susan.
Hello?
All right. Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay.
The other night, you had mentioned about the 2 sweaters.
And
I got chills when you said that because Daniel brought that up.
Yeah.
And another thing is that if she wanted to get away from him so bad, why would she take mementos? So it seems that there's something intermixed that's sinister between the two.
Yes.
And the sweaters. I believe that you have touched on something really big there.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's something to it, or he wouldn't have said it.
Exactly.
It's weird. It's definitely weird, and because he was like, if the kids are found with those sweaters, they were planted.
Exactly. And he brought it up. Nobody brought up anything about
Now,
the sweaters.
if the kids were found alive, would the sweaters matter?
Of course.
No, I mean, if they were found alive, the sweaters wouldn't matter at all.
Right, but I mean,
but if they're found deceased, then them sweaters matter.
Right.
So it almost sounded like he was saying the kids are dead and my sweaters are with them.
Right. Because I don't know if you followed the Letitia Stouts case.
That's the girl that put the baby in the
Colorado.
suitcase, right? And drove him around, and that's that one, right?
The one that the little boy was found in Florida.
Yeah, in the suitcase.
Under a bridge.
Yeah, in the suitcase. Yeah, I know.
And she was the stepmother. But anyway, when the FBI were questioning her, they said there was a little bit of truth in every single thing that she said, all these made-up stories.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what brought home when you talked about the sweaters. Why would he bring that up? It just, I mean, I think you
so
really
when they're
hit on
found,
something.
so when they're found, he can be like, "Well, I told everybody they were planted." It's building that alibi.
But I just think that that's his cover-up. I think that's his way of covering up for something. Because I don't believe him at all.
I don't either.
You lie in small things, you lie in big things.
Yep. If you lie to the police, you'll lie to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Lying is wrong to begin with. And another thing I'd like to say is that about the flooding is that when I was listening, I was thinking of a scripture that's John 15:13 that says, "No love stronger than someone that will lay their life down for their friends." And I just think of the camp owner that just stayed there for the little girls. My heart breaks.
Yeah. It's definitely some sad stories coming out of this. You know, people losing their lives to try to save their families.
It brings
a lot of heroes.
All those little children, all those people that just lost everything.
Yeah.
So devastating.
It is. And I'll be covering it a little bit more tomorrow until they find these kids. And I appreciate you calling in. I'm getting ready to get out of here. It's 4:00 hits. It's my bedtime. I turn into a
Yes, it's 4:00 here too.
So you be good.
Okay,
Stay safe.
thank you for you too.
All right, peace.
Good night.
Yes, like what she said about Daniel. I'm shutting the phone lines now, guys, so I can talk my little outro. It's spooky, right? There's, like I said, and I'll be going over the flood a little bit tomorrow during the day. I'll be going over a little bit more Jack and Lilly, and I think either Thursday or Friday, Sonny will be up here with me from a crime and shame, and we're going to go over the whole case all together from start to the end. All the clues, all the red flags, everything that's been said. So make sure you guys tune in for that. I'm not quite sure if it's Thursday or Friday. I think she's off Thursdays and Fridays or something like that. So we're going to try to set it up for, what's the day? Tuesday? Wednesday, Thursday? So a couple days, right? So be on the lookout. As soon as I get confirmation, it'll either be Thursday or Friday, but just make sure you guys tune into that. And we're going to go over every little detail in the case together. And should be good times. So make sure you check that out. Prayers to everybody in Texas, to friends and families. Prayers for all the people that are down there risking their life, the heroes, the first responders. You know, we focus on the tragedy so much that we forget about all these heroes that are down there. Hundreds and hundreds of them. People that are putting other people before themselves. They deserve that recognition. You know, we still live in a world where there's still good people. We got to remember that when tragedy strikes, it's about picking up your neighbors and not kicking people when they're down. We've seen that there's just some hateful people out here, even tonight in this chat alone, coming in and saying mean things about Texas and the people in Texas. And that's not necessary. There's no room for that. keep your prayers strong. There's still 10 kids missing, and you never know. Some of these kids could be alive, and we need a miracle. Listen, I ain't gonna lie. The odds ain't good, and we need a miracle for these last people that are missing. So say a little prayer for them, and of course, I'll do the same. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I don't know what time. I'm probably gonna try to go a little early tomorrow, do a day show around 2:00. So be on the lookout for me around 2 tomorrow. If I'm up, I don't know. I may do a morning show. I don't know. I'm gonna go kick back, give me something to snack on, and watch a movie. And if I still have a little energy, I doubt I will. I'll probably go into bed. All right. But if not, I'll see y'all in the morning. Y'all can be good, be safe, and just remember this: if nobody else does, Dolly loves you. Peace.